Greg and Josh are not paid critics. They are not experts, nor do they claim to be. They are just two nerds that love to talk about internet shows. However, they're still going to tell you about what they think. So sit down, relax, and enjoy the latest episode of All Queued Up.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Queued Up Uninhibited. I'm your host, Greg Dietz, and with me always is Josh Fisher. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit better again this week, but still, it's a process, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Things are okay right now. They're the thing that sucks right now is the car. I kind of hurt the car a little bit, and I think because of what I did, it hurt the air conditioner. So we have like a very shitty air conditioner working in our car right now. But
so
before we get
the equivalent of like 3 or 4 kids just standing there with straws blowing air at you.
But basically, yeah, but they have like ice in their mouth, so
that makes it better.
It's cold for like a minute.
Yeah, they're trying at least. They have you in mind.
Before we get started, we do have a little bit of a sponsor. I just want to shout them out real quick. Our sponsor is Vote Detergent, and their slogan is it removes orange stubborn stains.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, Vote Detergent.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, and we'll make sure to use that product all the way up through November 2nd.
Yeah. Remember, everybody, vote Detergent. Remove stubborn orange stains. But we also have a guest.
Back by popular fucking demand.
Yay.
No, seriously, we had some great feedback on the episode that you appeared on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they said they really enjoyed you as a guest. So our first female guest and first recurring female guest, Dame Betty Badger, is back with us today to have another hopefully wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you guys for having me. This is going to be an interesting day.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully interesting is good.
Oh, yeah.
Not boring like we're just talking about. Can't think of something like we're discussing like honey. I don't want to. I mean, that's even interesting to an extent. I can't think of anything boring at this moment.
Well,
that would be,
watching the grass grow. That's a boring activity.
Hey,
itself.
It's happening really quick these days. Let me tell you, it goes by a lot faster than it used to.
Well, a lot of the rain we've been getting, yeah.
I can imagine us doing an April Fool's episode where we just call it "Watching the Grass Grow," and it's just Josh and I like. Okay, we're sitting on our front lawn now, and I think that one just went up a half a centimeter. It's interesting.
Oh, coming up here on the right. Look at him. He is stretching. He's reaching for it. He is reaching for the sky. Go, you little green fuck, you go.
Oh, man. I'm going to put that one in the bank for future April Fool's episodes. Anyway.
Yeah, don't give that away.
Yeah, so we have a few topics for today.
Speaking of, before you get into that,
okay,
that wasn't rehearsed. That was just fucking off the cuff.
Yeah,
and that's what I really enjoy. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now, so we've got some pretty good comedic timing between the two of us.
Yeah, I would agree. We
our last April Fool's episode that we did this year, Fat Man and the Pirate, that we recorded with my friends Chandra, Dakota, and Tyler. That was completely off the cuff, the entire thing. No rehearsal. We did it in like 25 minutes.
That's awesome.
That was what's fun about that. So it's kind of like we do a little bit of improv.
A little bit. Well, I think that's what podcasting is as a whole, is you need to have that improvisational skill in order to have a good conversation.
As a whole.
All right. Jesus Christ. Do this fucking podcast with a 15-year-old.
12. Thank you very fucking much.
Guys, if you're new to the podcast, what Josh and I normally do here is we review shows on an internet streaming platform like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. I haven't done anything on Hulu. I don't know why you keep throwing that one in there.
Because you said it for 2.5 years before we said, fuck Hulu. They're never going to have anything good.
Right.
And now apparently they actually have something good, but
They actually have a few things that are good. Thank you very much.
All right. See, this is why we've needed a female voice on the show for longer than it took.
To tell you that you're an idiot sometimes? I mean, I guess.
I know I'm an idiot sometimes. So,
well, did you guys ever watch Harlots?
No.
Oh my God, that show is amazing.
I have wanted to watch it, but I've just never carved out the time to do so.
Once you get into it, you're just going to be sucked in because it's so good. And of course, there's only like 6 or 8 episodes a season. I think it's 6 because it's a BBC thing. But
well, okay, you sold me.
That's hella digestible.
Yeah, and the woman who is the madam in the show, and she's the protagonist. She's also in The Walking Dead. She's the leader of the Whispers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same girl.
Was not anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So, but she was the leader of the Whispers. So, yeah, I remember when they showed her face. I was like, wait a minute. I know that face. Where do I know that face from? Put hair on it. I was like, holy shit, that's the madam. That's the madam.
Did you give her Karen hair?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I have Karen hair.
You do not have Karen hair.
I totally do. And I know it. I'm letting it grow out. I'm still going to keep it shaved on the sides, but I'm letting it grow out so it's not so short and Karen-y because, yeah, I've totally got some Karen hair. We laugh about it all the fucking time because it's like, they'll have a Karen up and it's like, wow, Mom, look at her haircut. It looks really similar, Mom. I'm like, shut up.
No, I think you don't. I've never seen you have it styled with that traditional spiky back part like Karens do.
That is
which
never
is why
happened.
that is the main
happen.
attribute to a Karen haircut to me.
Yeah,
the side swept to the one side thing, that's not a Karen. It's got to have that spiky part.
I shaved my head bald like 5
fucking
years ago. Yeah, I was just
do you have any pictures of that?
Oh, yeah, they're all over Facebook because I was like, I've never done this. It's hair. It grows back. Let's see what happens. I do not look good bald. I will not be doing that again. But I do like the freedom and how nice it is not to have that massive sweaty hair in the summer. And then the winter, I call wigs hair hats because in the winter, it's a perfect time to wear them because, it's warm. In the summer, they're hot and they're itchy, but in the winter, they're perfect because they're warm. So they're like little hair hats, and I look pretty.
An amusing story here before we get going any further. As I've mentioned on this show before, I struggled for decades with severe depression, anxiety. And there, for a period back in 2014 or 15, I went through such crippling depression that I stopped caring. Like I was ready to just like lay down and die. I was like, I wasn't suicidal, but I stopped taking care of myself. I was stress eating, and I just quit taking care of myself, quit showering, quit caring, quit trying. And I stopped brushing my hair. And I've had long hair for over 20 years, 25 years at this point. And it got so knotted and tangled that it couldn't be brushed out. We had to cut it off. And we just cut it off into one big piece, and it was a total fucking hair helmet. But actually, what I did, I took it out into the fucking road, and I poured a jar of fucking marinara sauce over top of it and called animal control, and they actually came and scooped it up. That was the thing that actually got me out of the house for the first time in like 11 months.
Fucking with animal control.
It was fucking funny.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
I mean, I have a warped sense of humor, okay?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, to go back to what I was saying before we get started, Josh. I did want to mention that there was a show that's coming to Netflix that looks really interesting. Apparently, it's all animated in a way. I guess I don't know. I've only seen a little bit of it, but they haven't shown a trailer. It's called High Score, and it's a 6-part docu-series. Each episode's different about a classic video game.
Oh yeah.
Like
That sounds
one of the
interesting.
one of the episodes is about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is there going to be a Donkey Kong episode? Because I don't really want to watch it because you know who will be on there.
Who?
You know, Billy.
Oh,
Billy. What's his last name?
I don't remember, dude. I haven't watched or thought about King of Kong in God knows how long.
This one dude who claimed, he was the world record holder for a Donkey Kong high score for years, but he apparently attained it under questionable circumstances.
Okay.
Yes.
And he is a douche canoe.
Well,
Yeah,
if that's your
he's
claim to
awful.
fame, yeah, I'm not surprised you're a douche canoe because, damn, that's not,
Billy Mitchell.
I want more
Billy
out of my
Mitchell.
life.
He
Yeah,
peaked
you
in
just gotta
he peaked
look
in
at
the
him.
80s, and
Yeah, that's
Well.
sad.
I mean, he just,
He
that
won't be
guy.
remembered in the history books. I mean, let's face it. Yeah.
He'll be remembered as douche canoe.
Yeah. Well, if he has it, that, again, there's lots of douche canoes in the past that, we just don't talk about because they didn't make it that far. And I just don't think, number one Donkey Kong player is going to be, top of our list of douche canoes.
No, but just
True.
look at him. Just look at him.
Oh, yeah. He's total douche
Look at
canoe.
this sad little man he is.
Yeah. That American, was that a tie?
And matching handkerchief.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow.
Mhm.
it's really bad because like in the movie King of Kong, it focuses on a different guy who's been like in his garage playing the game constantly. I don't remember the guy's name for the life of me. And he had figured out like a really good path and pattern for Donkey Kong in order to get the highest score possible. And when he went to a local arcade to try to like get the score, guess who was there trying to upend his score or trying to say that it was not valid? That gentleman.
Oh, damn. That's petty.
It's super petty. And
Not me.
because of- I was just going to talk over it. So yeah, if they did do a documentary about King or Donkey Kong, I would really hope that it's not about that stuff and more about the creation of Donkey Kong. Because the short clip that I saw, which the whole show is narrated, almost said marinated, is narrated by Charles Martinet, who does the voice of Mario.
Oh.
And Luigi and Wario and Waluigi, yada yada. But
Yeah, my kid's got a thing for Waluigi. I don't know why. Maybe it's her evil side, but whenever we play like Mario Kart, she's always got to be Waluigi. She's always wah.
So I'm trying to look at what they're going to talk about in each episode, and they don't have like a description that I can see. It's 6 episodes. I know one's about Sonic because the short thing that I saw about Sonic was that he was originally going to be a panda that rolled around.
Shit.
But I've known about that for years. It says they're going to talk about the creation of Space Invaders, the revolution of online co-op with Doom, the video game crash in '82, the NES takeover of the console wars with Nintendo. And that Madden NFL started this like sports craze with video games.
Nice.
So this is going to be an interesting show, and I really want to watch it. And it comes out on the 18th. And if we record on the 19th, we would have to watch all 6 episodes like right before we record, so maybe not. But
Let me look.
Are you not
On a
dedicated?
Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I don't have anything going on. I mean, if they're only half-hour episodes too, that's 3 hours. I can knock that out in the morning.
For real?
yeah, I don't know
We'll-
exactly if they're
we'll
half an
add
hour,
it.
but I can't imagine them being more than a half an hour.
Even if they were an hour, I could still knock it out in a day and a half before we record. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's add it to it.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, we're gonna review that for next week. If we think of anything like a movie or something like that, we might add it on. So pay attention to our socials, and we'll let you guys know.
We're already doing Ju-on Origins too.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Jesus Christ.
Have you guys seen the trailers for Raised by Wolves on HBO?
Yes, and I am
That
excited
look
by that.
amazing. Yeah, I
It
want to watch
looks
that.
wonderful.
I have
Yeah,
not seen the trailer for that.
You need to watch it. It looks really good.
What was it called again? Hold on, let me.
Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves. All right, wrote it down. Okay, so for next week, I'm gonna write it on a sticky note so I see it constantly in my fucking face. The Ju-on show. I've got to pull out a pen. Click, click.
I'm going to be watching
like
that
how-
one as well.
I like how Greg narrates what he's doing.
Yeah,
It's a podcast.
play by play.
They can't see me. All right, it's on the wall. All right, guys. So the topics that we're going to talk about today is Josh and I are going to kind of talk about Fall Guys since we've been playing a metric fuck ton of it. We're going to. I have a surprise topic for you two, and that we'll get to that when we get to that. And we're going to talk about feminism on this podcast. That's going to be the final topic of the day. So strap in for that one, folks. It's going to be fun. This all spawned from a conversation on Facebook, so but there's more to it now, which is great, thanks to recent events.
Oh yes.
But Betty, answer me this: have you heard anything about this Fall Guys video game?
I have. I know it's by Devolver Digital, and I know you can get it on Steam or on PS4. I do not have a PS4, and I don't like playing things on the computer because I am a controller gal. I like the controller. I don't know why.
The game does support controller. Connection.
I've had troubles trying to get that set up so many times in the past because I've tried playing Minecraft on the computer, and it's like the controls would work half the time, they wouldn't the other, and it would do crazy things. And I can only play Minecraft when I'm in a certain mindset because I am a 2D seer, so
Fair enough.
I get motion sickness very quickly. I can get about 5 minutes into Minecraft and I'm like already seasick. So yeah.
I think that's one of the things about Fall Guys that's so nice is that it's not first person. It's
even if it's not first person, because again, my brain sees a 2D environment and tries to bring depth to it because I've been this way since I was 3. I was shot in the eye with a BB gun.
Oh, gotcha.
So my brain rewired itself. I can see depth. Well, it pretends that I can see depth, basically. It's got its own little system. So it tries to figure this out with 2D games, and it can make me really, really sick. So I have to be in a certain setting of mind, is how I shall put this, before I can play those types of games.
Gotcha.
I have to be very relaxed, very, very relaxed.
Understood. I can say this about Fall Guys primarily, that it's not that, oh God, it's a $20 game for a reason, right? It has a handful of games, all of which I've played multiple fucking times. I have 14 wins, by the way, just FYI. I'm that good. Here's the thing. much like you, Betty, I've played platformers my whole life. I grew up on them. That's kind of just my jam. Like when there's a new Mario game or something, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Well, that is your favorite franchise of all time, too. Mario is.
Well, I guess you could say that, yeah. Because like my top three games of all time are Mario 3, Portal 2, and Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight and Mario 3 are side-scrolling platformers. But even with 3D platformers, I've always been really good at them. I don't know why they click in my head so well, but they do. And that's basically what Fall Guys is. It is a platformer with a few different non-platformy games. But I think that's why I have 14 wins, primarily with Hexagon, which is a final game. So this game, Hexagon, is a final round sort of game. And the idea is that there are 8 platforms. They get slightly bigger as you go down this giant tower. But when you stand on a platform, a second later, it'll full on disappear.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have to keep moving or jumping to platform from platform. And like I said, they get bigger. So the first platform has like, I would say 50 tiles, and the next one has 60 tiles, and so on and so forth all the way down. I've won on that one probably 10 times, maybe 9 times, and then the rest, like I've won twice on stupid Royal Fumble. I hate that game so much. Royal Fumble is that
I lost in the last second on that one this morning.
I hate that game. It's because I hate it because so there are 3 games in Fall Guys that require you to have a tail, and someone can run up to you and grab that tail, and then they have that tail.
Well, that's not fair.
The problem is that the game servers aren't like super fucking fast and 1-to-1 because first off, they were like, oh, 1 million people will play this game day one. No biggie. And then they were just like, why are there fucking 4 million people in here? Like, they got overloaded so fast that their servers literally couldn't handle it and crashed. And they had to kind of fix that and then try to, like, Devolver came in and was like, all right, let's try to get you some more servers for this because Jesus Christ. And it's increasing and getting better, but it's been a problem, and it's still a problem. So when you play, there are only 3 tail-based games, and when you play any of them, you can tell that when someone grabs your tail from like 5 feet back, like you're running away, you think you have a lead on them, and all of a sudden, poof, your tail's gone, and they have it. And you're just like, oh, that's fucking great. So that's why I don't like Royal Fumble, because it just kind of doesn't work like I want it to. But on that note, the other 2 final games are Fall Mountain and Hexagon, which I've already described. And Fall Mountain is what I like to call it's the aggro crag from the show Nickelodeon Guts. Yeah, there's like a really steep incline with balls that are coming down and like giant spinning doors that'll whack you in the head. And when you get to the top, it's not just grab the crown. The crown is floating up and down. So if you jump at the wrong time, you can completely miss the crown. Sometimes you have to wait for it to come back down, which gives other people the time to come up. And if they jump slightly before you and hit the button to grab it, you're screwed. I like that one, but my favorite is Hexagon, because Hexagon, again, is a very platformy type of final game. I'm just rambling because I love this game so much. I've honestly put, I don't know how many hours into it so far. I guess I could check on it on PlayStation, huh? I don't know. It's just weirdly super fun. It's hard to kind of describe because, wait, what? Sorry, I was looking at something here. That's confusing. Anyway, it's hard to describe unless you played it. I think that's the problem that I'm having right now. Like,
well, I didn't watch anything on it yesterday. I cursory looked it up this morning. I have seen that there are people playing it on YouTube, so I'll probably watch one of them later on today to see what it is, what they're doing,
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Do you remember that show MXC Unleashed that was on Spike TV about 15 years ago?
Or even Wipeout that was on AMC.
No.
Okay.
I was busy having a child back then, so
Well,
a little preoccupied.
I can
About
imagine.
5 years of my life is missing, so.
Those games were basically
That
awful.
was a hell of a long pregnancy. Holy shit.
Well, it wasn't just the pregnancy; it was the sleep deprivation once the kid is born, and the breastfeeding, and then the attachment syndrome shit. Having a kid's intensive, man. Takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
I'm just speaking from the non-birthing and feeding side of things. But even that in itself is very taxing in the first few years.
Well, it's like Lydia wouldn't take a bottle; she would only breastfeed. I mean, that was it. That we tried to give her a bottle with breast milk in it, she wouldn't touch it. I mean, she would starve. She'd chew on the nipple, and she would starve until I came home. So, I was attached to this kid for 2.5 years. It was me and her. If I went somewhere, she went somewhere. She was my little mini me. So, 5 years of my life. Yeah, that's about right. Once school started, then I got a break.
Have you ever watched American Ninja?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
That's probably your best.
Cutified obstacle courses. Basically, you're a little jelly bean in various costumes. There are 5, well, not always 5, but it averages out to 4 or 5 rounds in what they call an episode. Because it's treated like an episode of one of these obstacle course shows. Starts out with 60 people, and there's an average of 15 to 20 eliminated to the first round, and then they'll eliminate about 10 to 12 more, and then so on, progressing down to anywhere from 5 to 20 people for the last round. I've seen 18 in the last round before, and I've seen as few as 5. But it's very fun, very addictive, and it doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. It's still a blast to play when you're playing with friends. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
The problem is, and I kind of feel bad about this, and I hate to. I'm going to sound so condescending. I'm good at the game. All right, I just am. I'm not bad at it. I'm not great at it, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form bad at the game. 9 times out of 10, I will make it to the final round.
Yeah.
And the problem
is getting more consistent to where I'm making it to the final round on a more consistent basis. I played for about 2 hours this morning and made it 5 times, but I didn't win any.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, finished second 3 times.
Making it to the final round is an achievement in itself, especially if you get Slime Climb.
Mm-hmm. One of them was.
Slime Climb is one of the most brutal games, Betty, because it's not only just the hardest obstacle course to climb, but it also has a rising pool of slime that if you touch, you're immediately eliminated.
And it's continually rising the entire time on a narrow path, and you've got at least 35, 40 other people trying to run across this narrow, curving path that's continuously elevating while you have gaps in the floor, blocks that come out of the wall and push you towards the slime, conveyor belts that are continually trying to move you towards the slime, hammers that are rotating to swing you and knock you into the slime, wrecking balls that are swinging back and forth doing the same thing. And
then if you make it to the top, you could have some giant douche nozzle at the top trying to grab you and push you into one of the wrecking balls to get you to go into the slime. So there's a lot of obstacles. Like the first time I ever played this particular map, there were 40 people that went into it with me because it was the second round. So there was a ton of people, and 4 of us made it to the top.
So it sounds like floor is lava extreme style.
To an extent,
yeah. No, you're not wrong there. But it's a load of fun, and there's a 3-hour time difference between Greg and I. So when we start playing this, we're usually starting about 11:30 Eastern. But it's been me and Greg and his friend Andy, and then their friend Keith.
Yeah.
Sometimes has joined us, but it's been me and Greg and Andy consistently for about a week straight now, playing almost every night. And
We got an update with it. They got one update today at some point. I don't know if it's live yet, but
laughing our asses off, just cracking on each other, and then Greg being a fucking asshole.
I'm so confident in the game now that I can troll or kind of like fuck with Josh and or Andy at any given time. Sometimes it doesn't benefit me. Sometimes I get screwed over by my own trolling, but
It's still fun.
it's super
Oh
fun.
yeah, it's hilarious. Last night Misty was pouring me a cup of coffee and we were getting ready to start, and I figured, I'm safe because I turned my head and then I turned back around while we're waiting. It's called memory or match or whatever it is, a memory game. There are 16 tiles and it will display various tiles, and there's a fruit depicted on them. And the first round, there's only 2 types of fruit. Second round, there's 4 types. And the final round, there are 6 types. So you have to, and there's usually only like 3 good tiles to land on in the final round. First round, I'm not paying too much attention because it's either going to be one or the other, and I'm standing on one, the other one's right next to me, so it's a quick step, right? So Misty's pouring me a cup of coffee. I turn my head to look at her. I turn back around. Greg shoves me right off the fucking platform. I was like, you fucking asshole. He's just laughing so hard, like it's like, oh, look what I did, Mommy. I made my first pee-pee. I'm a big boy. Bastard.
That's how me and my sister would play if we played something like that. So yeah.
Oh God, it was so fucking funny though. I couldn't help but laugh. But yeah, it's a highly recommended game for me. It's a lot of fun, and I don't even like battle royales because they're shooters. But this one is so fucking fun, stupid fun. It's addictive.
Well, this is one of the reasons I like Devolver Digital so much is that this company has been shopping this game around for like 5 years. What? Nobody wanted to pick it up until Devolver was like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, that's sad, but I'm glad they got a good company.
It's crazy to me because like the landscape of battle royales is so the same with everything. Like there was a new one that just came out called Hyperscope or Hyperscape or something like that. And it's this idea like you're in a digital world and like the circle that closes in is erasing the digital world, and if you get caught in it, you get erased. You can like there are different things about it in terms of a battle royale. It's still a shooter. It's still a first-person shooter.
It's still just like Fortnite. It's still just like what was that one? The one before Fortnite that everybody was playing.
PUBG.
Yeah.
That's the one. Battlegrounds. Then there was Apex Legends, which is really popular still.
And that one for a while actually dethroned Fortnite as the most popular played battle royale game for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for a couple of weeks, easily. Like, because that's the thing about Fortnite. It caught lightning in a bottle multiple times by doing some very specific things. It was free to play. That's a huge factor right there. And I think that's another reason why Fall Guys is so popular right now is because you can get it on PS Plus for free, and you need PS Plus to play it. So you can get it right now for free if you have a PlayStation 4.
But we've had countless hours of fun in it for the past week solid now.
I really like the idea of a battle royale where you play until you're eliminated. But I am getting tired of the shooter mechanics, so that's why I'm really happy to see like unconventional battle royales coming out of nowhere. Like I still play fucking Tetris 99 occasionally. I love Tetris 99.
Oh, that game was fun.
Betty, have you heard of Tetris 99?
Is it just Tetris?
Yeah. Have you ever played Tetris against somebody and like when they get a Tetris, they throw blocks on your side?
No.
The old school game, the old school Tetris in 2-player mode. That's what would happen when somebody would clear a line. You would get extra blocks thrown at you, wouldn't you, Greg?
Extra lines, yeah. It's
extra lines.
Literally, like I don't want to say canonically because it's fucking Tetris, but it's literally called garbage. They throw you garbage.
Yeah,
Okay.
my Tetris playing has been like solitaire for most people. It's something I do alone. Yeah,
Well, that's what's great about that is so Tetris 99 is a super competitive 100 player battle royale Tetris game. There are certain mechanics to it that allow you to attack certain people, yada yada yada. But that is intense Tetris. There's a different game on PlayStation, and I believe coming to Xbox as well, called Tetris Effects, which is your style of Tetris. Super calm, super chill, intended to be a
Solo player thing.
very solo player.
Yeah,
and
Tetris 99. I've still never finished better than third.
I stopped counting my wins because the game's counting for me now.
it sounds stressful.
It can be.
Yeah, it literally can be, but it's also very intense fun. So
Did
it's
you
not
guys-
like the stress level of like, oh shit, how am I going to make rent this month? It's more like, oh fuck, this guy's going to fuck me over. Oh, I won, yay! You know, that kind of
Did
shit.
you guys ever play that game Limbo?
No,
Like the party game Limbo, or
No. It's a really basic it's a platform
video
game. The video game with, and little dude going through limbo, and there's like these giant spiders and obstacles and stuff.
Yeah, he's trying to save his sister, and
And there is a follow-up game.
oh, that just came out 4 or 5 years ago, didn't it?
yes.
I've seen it. I think I actually own it on Sony on the PlayStation Plus, but I've not played it yet. But
You should play it. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Are you talking about the game Inside? When you said follow up, so that's fun fact. It's a spiritual successor because it has nothing to do with Limbo, but it is borderline the same game.
Yeah, my daughter brought it to my attention because she keeps up with this stuff. She makes little video games and stuff, but so she's more into this than I am in certain aspects. But yeah, we played that one together because spiders scare the shit out of me. So it was always fun to watch me jump. Yeah.
That game is brutal too. Like when that kid just gets like stabbed in the head.
Oh, I know, right? You're just like, what the?
I also like how
I have to check it out.
The ending's very vague too. Like you still are unsure. So
yeah, it's like, did I live or did I die? What happened here?
It's a fantastic little game. I would
Should
say
I stay or should I go?
I would say Inside's not nearly as good, but it is a good game regardless.
Yeah, it was a good game, but I like Limbo better.
Yeah, I do too.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. So yeah, if you have PlayStation Plus, download Fall Guys and play it. You'll have fun. I promise you.
I don't
It's
know.
free through the end of the month.
Yeah. If you have PC, it's $20. You know, and it as a warning,
Honestly,
the game does have microtransactions, but you can skip them. You don't have to get them at all.
Yeah, they're not required. And honestly, if I didn't have this game available for PlayStation Plus, I can say with confidence I would buy this game for $20. It's worth it.
When it eventually comes to Xbox, I'm going to buy it. Straight up. Like
yeah, you'll have to get it, Betty. It's great. Well,
Oh yeah.
All right, well, on to the next subject.
Is this our surprise topic that you?
It is. So when I was door dashing the other day, I was thinking about certain things that I really enjoyed. Like I was talking to my dad about a few games and movies that always stuck with me as a kid and yada yada yada. And then the thought came to me of like, there are certain games, there are certain shows, movies that I would love to experience for the first time again. And so the question to you is to you both, what is something that was so good that you could wish you wish you could experience for the first time again? Like it had that kind of effect on you.
Huh.
Like for me, I can think of like the Spider-Man video game or like Shovel Knight, playing that for the first time, or even Portal. Portal is a bit like I wish I could experience something like Portal again for the first time. Because
What
trying
about,
to figure out the puzzles and
what about your couch?
Wow, Josh, appreciate
I
that.
would say Tomb
I
Raider.
went there.
Tomb Raider came out when I was a teenager, and I played a ton of Tomb Raider, and I loved it. And I went back years later and tried to play it again. I was like, wow, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. But yeah, that was one for me. Was Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I get that. I know that there probably are a few games for me that aren't as good. I'll give you an example of something that I know I loved when I was younger, but when I try to revisit it as an adult, it just is it's bad. And that's pretty much any 80s cartoon. Just any of
Oh
them.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Like, dude, 8-year-old me, I was blown away by Voltron. Loved Voltron so fucking much. And to be fair, it's one of the stronger 80s cartoons, but I think it's mainly because of the source material. But if you watch the original Go Lion, it's brutal. I mean, there's, real actual on-screen deaths and cannibalism and shit involved in it. So of course that stuff was edited out and people became injured, and then they made robots that get blown up all the time instead. But the concept of Voltron itself, though, I just loved so fucking much. I would love to be able to experience that again for the first time. But as for a movie, my favorite movie of all time, man, is The Crow. The feelings that I went through watching it for the first time, had I never seen it and watched it for the first time today, after going through what I've been through in my life, and I can relate to that movie a lot better now than I could when I watched it before. I'm curious as to how I would react to it, if it would still maintain that spot of my favorite movie ever. It's also my favorite comic ever, but when I read it for the first time, I had to stop because it was such an emotional read for me. I had to stop. And it took me a few days to pick it back up to get past the one point in the book because it was so hard. And I read the book after, several years after. So yeah, that was a pretty tremendous thing. Video games, I think the first time I ever played The Legend of Zelda was mind-blowing.
Like the first Legend of Zelda?
The very first Legend of Zelda, because up until that point, I had played all my video games were Atari games. And then I got the well, I'm a couple of years older, so yeah, I was around when the 2600 was, popular. But when the NES,
but we got the Nintendo when it came out because my dad was young, and so yeah, we went straight
exactly,
and never looked back.
same here. When we got the Nintendo Entertainment System, I mean, Mario Brothers was cool and all. But when I first opened up The Legend of Zelda, first of all, it had that nice shiny gold chrome plated cartridge, and you put it in, you turned it on, you hear that menu music for the first time. I was just like, holy shit. I was blown away, man. And that's still a great game to play through. And I'll play through it once every year still to this day. I will pop in The Legend of Zelda and play the original. I fucking love it, but I wish I could enjoy the experience of playing it for the first time like I did when I was 10 years old again.
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought about this for stuff for when I was an adult, but it does also work for stuff when you're a kid too, because nothing is as good as when you're kind of innocent to the world.
Yeah, it's like funny example here. When my daughter was 3, I wanted to watch Rudolph with her. because I thought, oh, I loved this movie as a kid. She's going to enjoy this. And then we sat down and watched it, and I was horrified. I was just like, what the hell were we watching? This is so sadistic. This is so wrong. I was just, yeah, so that'll never be the same for me again. Lots of childhood memories just busted in an instant of Santa Claus is a fucking asshole. What the hell? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that they leave out, you know. I mean, yeah, Santa, he rewarded all the good kids, but
Yeah,
you
it's like,
know,
oh,
Black Peter, his
Santa's
brother.
the only, Santa's the kind of friend that only calls you when they need you, I mean, that's it. I mean, he's using Rudolph. It's horrible. It's slave labor. It's bad. The
Well,
island
let's
of
be fair.
misfit toys.
The elves were, yeah, definitely being used for slave labor. And poor
Yeah,
Hermie just wanted to be a dentist.
yeah, he
And
wanted
they're
to be
like,
him. He wanted to be himself and be happy. And then they have this freaking, Isle of Misfit Toys, and it just makes me think of Stalin's Cannibal Island, and I'm like, oh, this is so bad. This is so bad. I don't want to do this to myself again.
and that's why a lot of people, I think, suffer um, in silence because of things like that, and because adults perpetuate that. No, you're not going to do this because I want this for you. This is not who you're supposed to be. That kind of mentality, and it gets ingrained in people so much at such a young age, and shit like that certainly can attribute to it. Holy hell!
Yeah, I have a problem with authority, and my dad wanted me to be a Marine like him, and I was
Oh,
like, oh no, not gonna happen, dude. The first time they tell me to get down and give them 20, I'd be like, you get down and give me 20. Then I'll think about it. I can't. No, no.
I did so well on the ASVABs in high school, which I'm sorry, they shouldn't allow military recruiters to come onto high school campuses and do
No,
this
they should
stuff.
not. They should not.
I scored in the 98th percentile, and I had Navy recruiters calling me on a daily basis, wanting me to enlist so I could, you can work on a nuclear reactor on a submarine. I was like, I kind of don't want to.
Yeah, and it's
But
bullshit. They'll tell you what you want, what they think they want you want to hear, but they're going to stick you wherever in the hell they want to stick you. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
you can say that you want to be stationed in Hawaii, but that doesn't mean you're going to be stationed in Hawaii. You'll probably end up in freaking Alaska just because you dared to ask for Hawaii.
and I've actually got a friend from school. Her husband, he graduated a year before we did, but when he's been in the Navy for 6 years now. They were stationed in Hawaii on two different circumstances, about 2 years at a time. They've also been stationed in San Diego and then right outside of LA, and they've been stationed in Virginia. And,
Yeah.
It's just like they move every 2 to 4 years. So it's just like, it sucks, and it's not always his choice of where he gets to be.
No, you get to pick like 3 places in order of, what your preference is, and hopefully you'll get one of the 3.
Yeah,
But,
and there's no guarantee that you will. It's like,
and you can't.
well, these places are too nice. We're going to send you to this shithole for 2 years.
Yeah. You can't refuse when they send you somewhere. You have to go.
No, because you are their property.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a military brat through and through. I gave me experiences in my life that I love, and I will cherish for the rest of my life. But I wouldn't do it to myself. No, I wouldn't. That's insane. Lydia will never be in the military. She's way too small, so I don't have to worry about that.
Hey, that's a positive.
I mean, she's under 5 foot. She's never going to be over 5 foot tall, and so she'll never meet the standards.
What is the standard requirement for height for a female?
5 foot.
Oh, 5 foot even?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're not going to be out on the battlefield, but you'll end up being something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no way I could drag a man back during battle. If you're not my baby, I'm not lifting a car for you. That's just all there is to it.
Oh,
Not-
what if it
not-
were a Matchbox car? Or, you know.
Eh, I think about it.
There you go.
I'd ask if you're okay first.
After I got done laughing.
Uh, well, that was a hell of a detour from the topic. It was interesting.
Well, there was a show that was on when I was young, and it was I don't know if it was anime exactly, but it was called Belle and Sebastian, and it came on Nickelodeon. It was about this boy who lived in the French Alps, and his mom was somewhere, I don't know, she was a gypsy or something, and he had this huge white dog named Belle, and they were running around the French Alps in the countryside looking for his mama. And I was 5 years old, and I was like, man, I want to be Sebastian. I want a big, cuddly white dog, and I want to run around the French Alps and have nobody tell me what to do. Looking back on it, no, I don't. But, that would have been horrible. But, that one it's had a huge impact on my life, I think, because I'll never forget that show. I really, really liked that show. But I was only like 5 years old.
Yeah, I just looked that up. By the way, it is an anime. Fun fact: it was translated by a Canadian studio, and
It was a good show.
Well, I bet it was in Quebec.
I don't. I just saw Canada, the CBC.
Most of the French-speaking people in Canada are from Quebec, Montreal.
Yeah, French Canadians.
French Canada. My friend Tyler, who lives in Canada, always refer to it as Canada just to see if he. It's like I'm always like, he'll say, "Oh, I've got to go at such and such time here." I'm like, "Yeah, what is that in American time? Because you're in Canadian."
Canadian.
And he's like, "It's the same time, jerk." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, if you say so."
When we watch foreign people on TV, like foreign shows, because I like to watch a lot of foreign shows, my husband always likes to look at the TV and be like, "Speak English. This is America."
Oh my goodness!
He does it to be funny,
Yeah.
Because we always
he's not serious about it. He's doing it to be ironic.
Yeah. Or speak American, those people. It's like, oh my God, you don't even have a grasp on the English language. Why do you expect other people to?
That's what kills me, though. The thing that you bring that up, the people that say that, usually the people that they're speaking to already know 2 languages.
Yeah.
Some even more. You were sitting here with your one language speaking ass, and probably not well in most instances, especially you Southerners. Yeah, I said it. I'm from here. I can say it. Y'all need to speak English. It's America. And you know what? They probably speak 2 languages. Why don't you learn another language?
Yeah.
I think the thing that always makes me laugh about the whole like you live in America, speak English situation is that they're the same type of people that would probably say that they don't have an accent. They're the same type of people that would be confused if you said that the English Empire had a massive effect on us and the world, because then they're just like, that's bullshit. They don't run the world right now. Well, you do speak English, motherfucker. So just saying. Like I remember that conversation I had a while back, which was this person was like, "Oh, well, how do you know that the English Empire was so powerful?" And I was like, "Well, first off, they did that for many, 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 many years. Secondly, that's kind of how America became a country."
And it's like, have you ever read a history book? I mean,
they haven't.
The sun never sets on the
say,
British Empire used to be a phrase for a good reason, because they had land everywhere.
Everywhere.
Hopefully, the history books they read wasn't approved by the Daughters of the fucking Confederacy.
Well, I mean, they're.
When we talked about that on the last episode you were on, and you brought up the Daughters of the Confederacy, and then
Mhm.
that weekend on John Oliver, he actually was talking about that,
Yeah.
and they actually showed a textbook with the excerpts talking about how slaves were happy. I
Mhm.
told you I remembered that shit from when I was a kid. That was fucked up.
They had barbecues for the slaves, so therefore they
Yeah.
must have been fine. It's like, are you fucking no? That's not how this works. It's just like, again, I read this weekend about how they kept this guy who was a pygmy from the Congo, which I happen to be descended from pygmies from the Congo. They kept him in the Bronx Zoo for like 2 weeks. There was this huge outcry, of course,
Oh my
pastors
God.
and stuff. They kept him in the zoo, in the monkey exhibit. His name was Oda
Jesus.
Benga. And
Because of course they did.
they
Oh,
called him the missing link. And I'm like, oh my
Jesus
God, you
Christ.
people. I just want to smack you in the face right now, I mean, and they've just now come out and acknowledged that they did this and that it was wrong. It's taken them this long to come out and say, we were wrong. And the people who did this, the people who were in charge of the Bronx Zoo at the time and the Wildlife Conservative Society were also eugenicists. And, they were really pushing hard to use Darwin's theory of evolution as a reason as to why we should sterilize certain kinds of people. And I'm like, no, that's no.
So fucking terrible. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, and I don't care. What kills me about people who are so into history to the degree that they're fine with everything that went on, like, well, that was the times, this and that, and you don't judge history by today's standards. I'm like, okay, then what are you supposed to do with it? I mean, really? Yes, it was a horrible time to be in. We know about it. Let's not be that again. But you can acknowledge it and not glorify the horrible aspects of our history. I could absolutely compare history to current society and be appreciative of it not being as horrible as it was back then. I'm glad I wasn't born 200 years ago, because I would be everything that I hate.
Well, there's a good chance. Yeah, maybe because of circumstance. As a lay person in history and anthropology and archaeology, we do tend to say, don't look at the past with our views of society today. We're not saying don't acknowledge that what they did was bad, because we know now it's wrong. You're supposed to learn from these things. You can't cover it up. I mean, saying things like slaves were happy is covering it up. You
Absolutely.
can't do that. Having statues to memorialize men who fought on the Confederate side of our Civil War is covering up what they did.
Mm-hmm.
It's not acknowledging the fact that, these people do not deserve to be memorialized. It's
100% agreed.
It's insane. Oh my God, we just got off on a tangent.
No, it's fine. Totally fine.
I love tangents, though.
Let's talk more about this. No, I think that's it's interesting you bring that up about the Daughters of the Confederacy, because there are so many people that don't know that. They see these statues being torn down, and their immediate thought, the two things that they say, or one of the two things they say, is that it's erasure of history. Jesus, I can't say that word. Thank you. Anyway, that they're erasing history. Stop. It's fine.
Come on, sound it out.
I porky pigged it. Calm down.
Is that the reference you want to go with, really?
Hey, it works.
Because I changed what I said. Anyway, they say that, or it's the other one of like that it's disrespecting history. And
I'm sorry, if you were an asshole in life, I'm going to think you're an asshole in death too.
Yeah,
I'm not
sorry.
going to respect you.
Penalizing people who fought in a war to have slaves is is the wrong part of history you want to hold up. You don't want to hold those people up. You know, there should be statues, but it should be to people like Harriet Tubman.
Right.
You know?
And if you do have a statue of someone, put it in a museum with full context and explain what this person was like.
And what they
have
did.
It on, out in front of a government building or glorified in the middle of a city, that people have to go by every day. That shit rag fucking Northern battle flag of Virginia, the rebel flag that everybody is like referring to as the Confederate flag. No, this is the Northern battle flag of Virginia, the Northern Army. But that thing shouldn't be flown anywhere. And everybody's like, well, it doesn't stand for that. It stands for this. It's like, really? I was like, have you ever read the fucking Cornerstone speech?
No,
don't tell me that the war was about states' rights. Yeah, states' rights to do what? To own people as fucking property. Shut the fuck up with your ignorant ass.
It's funny because Betty brought this up last time she was on, or in a private conversation. I don't remember which, but regardless, anyway, a lot of people misunderstand the Civil War. And yes, you're right, Josh, it was about slavery. But that all had to do with money.
Oh, yeah, because their economic way of life in the South was vastly different from the North.
Yeah. Like it was less about like I see black people as slaves versus like I see my profit margins going down the drain because I have to pay for labor now. Like that's what it ultimately.
That's exactly what it was. And the thing is, most of the North.
Yeah,
most of the North was racist as fuck too.
They were. They were racist, but they didn't see black people as subhuman. But their intent was to send them back to Africa, right? And they actually did form a state in Africa, and it didn't work out so well. Nope. Again, why would you want to go back to a country that your ancestors came from and you don't even speak the language of anymore? You don't know these people. This isn't your culture anymore. You're something completely different now because your family's been here for generations as slave held by, wealthy white owners.
And that's because a lot of white people then also saw black people as the equivalency of like a wild animal where, we could just release them back into the wild and they'll be fine. Like it doesn't work that way with a fucking human being. And
it's like, they knew that was their way of covering it up and they were lying to themselves and they knew it. Otherwise they wouldn't have rules like you can't teach a slave to read because I'm sorry, a subhuman is not going to be able to read. That's a human being. If they can read, then they know that, hey, what you're doing is fucking wrong. And that's how you get uprisings. And there was an uprising in the South that involved over 400 slaves. But eventually you get enough white people together, they overtook them, I
think that's the thing for me that's so fascinating about the Civil War era and even before it is that ultimately that's what kept black people as slaves was capitalism, straight up. That's like people will sit there and say like, oh, it's about states' rights, oh, it's about money issues, yada yada yada. Yeah, because capitalism kept black people as slaves. There's no other way around it. There's no skirting the issue. That's the ultimate what you can come to the conclusion of. And that to me is always a fascinating thing when you bring that stuff up to somebody who likes to defend the Confederacy or likes to defend the South in that regard is like when you bring up the Sisters of the Confederacy and like the fact that they only existed to appease the white people who lost the Civil War. That capitalism and money issues and people wanting to continue making money is what kept black people as slaves. They want to deny it. They plug their ears and goes la 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 because they can't handle the idea that their ideology is so fucking ass backwards.
Well, and here's the thing too, this also works in the same respect as to just poor people in general. That's something that the aristocracy has done from the very start is you keep the poor and you keep them on the edge and you don't give them the ability to defend themselves because that keeps you in power. Now, when we first started the United States, we did have indentured servants. And usually after their 7 years, if they managed to stick around that long, you'd add on all this crap being like, well, here's what you owe me for your food. Here's what you owe me for your clothes. Looks like there's another 4 years of work there for you. And this would go on and on and on. Now, this was pretty cheap labor, but the problem was when these people ran off, they were not so easy to track down because they looked like everybody else. Now, when they started bringing black people in from Africa, they started that in South America because all the Native Americans were dying from smallpox and they couldn't use them as slaves. So they started shipping in Africans. And then they came to the United States, and those people were so easy to differentiate from all the white people in charge that, it benefited them greatly because they were easier to track down. They were easier to say that, yes, this person is extremely different from me and therefore not a person as I'm a person, and it was much easier to hold the status quo among the white elite. Much harder if you got your white people that you've pretty much enslaved running off because you can't track them down. They can blend in with society. But you can't do that as a black person in America back then because, you stand out no matter what.
Right. Yeah, well, I think the thing that's fascinating to me is that the three of us can circle the same bush and say, like, there's an actual historic fact here of why all of this is wrong and why defending it today is wrong. And we can keep beating this horse even though it's dead, because there are people that keep trying to bring this fucking horse back alive. And at the end of the day, these people are going to have their heads buried in the sand.
Oh yeah,
I think that's the most frustrating part is that they actively choose to ignore all of the facts. They actively choose that because they think, oh, well, we got rid of racism in the 70s. Oh, well, I have a black friend, so racism is dead.
And that's what I call willful ignorance. You are willfully being ignorant.
Right. And I think that's the most frustrating part is that we can sit here on this podcast and inform everybody that listens to it. We can do our best to tell our friends and family, like, this is wrong. But we're such a small part of it. We're such a tiny, tiny part of it that some days it legit feels like we're making no progress at all.
Yeah. It's, like trying to make waves in the ocean. What am I going to do? How do I have an effect? And it's very hard, especially when you live in an area where, on a daily basis, I do not interact with black people. There are none here to interact with. My daughter does not see black people unless we go to the beach, and she's made note of it. I definitely make note of it because this is not how I grew up, but it does give people around here a different feeling about racism because if there's not enough black people around to call you out on it or white people to call you out on it, you think that you're absolutely fine and okay. And whatever it is you're doing, that's actually a racist act.
Yeah. And a very common argument you hear here. Why has everything got to be about race?
Yeah. You're just playing the race card.
You don't see it because it's not around you, but it happens. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I also believe that exposure is a huge factor into a lot of this stuff where if you've never had a situation where you're at a function or a party of something like that and you meet somebody different than you that you might have had a negative connotation on before, I think that you're also you're never going to change. I think that I know that there are people that are higher intellect that don't need that exposure in order to understand. But I'll give you a small example.
I will tell you right now, even people of higher intellect still need that exposure because it's cognitive dissonance. When you're not exposed to it, you just really have no aptitude for what it really is. So you need that exposure no matter how intelligent or non-intelligent you may be.
Right. I'll give you a small example in this situation. My little brother, he used to be a massive homophobe. There's a small story that I like to tell. It's kind of funny.
You're going to tell the one I think you're going to tell, right?
I am. We used to record jackass type things where we would do stupid things and try to make it funny, and then it evolved into doing sketches. Like I edited my first like music video then, and I did little things here and there. But one of the things I wanted to do was see what kind of reaction I would get from my little brother. What I did was I had my friend Brian and my brother Josh sit on the couch, and the sketch that they did was they're playing a video game. They start talking about how they hate their girlfriends and that they wish that they could just date guys. Then they drop their controllers, look at each other, and lip lock. And I wanted a hard lip lock, like you could not look away from it, right? Or if you did, you saw it. It was there. It took a bunch of takes for Josh and Brian to kind of get comfortable enough to do it.
Yeah, I bet. Good for them.
So I took I took the footage. I showed it to 3 friends. Got their reaction. That was just laughter or like the hell. Like wasn't expecting that, but nothing like totally like of disgust or anything like that. And then I put on the screen, what's all the fuss about? And then I show the sketch, right? So I show their reaction, I show the sketch, and then I show Jeff's reaction. His reaction is complete disgust, starts calling my brother and his friend the F word. I hate using the word just because it feels very, very juvenile.
Yeah.
The British term for a cigarette.
There you go.
Or the British term for a bundle of sticks.
He walks outside, just storms outside, says he doesn't ever want to be associated with them ever again. He's like, I fucking hate you both, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
I walk out with the camera next to my thigh because I know that if he thinks I have the camera on, he'll get all upset. But he knows I already had it on filming him, so he's not going to think any twice about it. And he's like, you're not filming me. And I was like, no, I'm not filming you, even though I totally am. And he's just cussing us out like this is disgusting and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Jeff, relax. It was a sketch, dude. Like, calm down. He's like, no, fuck that. He's just going off. So then Josh and Brian walk out of the house, and he just like, fuck you both, and starts walking down the sidewalk. I then run to the sidewalk and I start filming him walking away. I get it to the point in the edit where now I've slowed down the footage of him walking away, and I play REM's "Everybody Hurts." So that happened when he was, God, how old was he? Like 19, maybe, like really young compared to now. Maybe even younger. Maybe he wasn't even a full-on adult then. I don't know. It was a really long fucking time ago. And it's funny, but I do feel a little bad for like picking on him to that extent. But the reason I bring that up is because when he married his now ex-wife, her oldest son is gay. And he was totally cool with it. He had no issues with it. He even talked to the guy quite a few times, hung out with him. And that's all stems back to when he was in his mid-20s, and he would go and hang out with my brother, Josh, and doing stuff with Trash Film Orgy. Quick, brief summary on Trash Film Orgy, in case you haven't heard me talk about it before. It's a midnight film festival that happened in the summertime. There were 6 films, so 6 different weeks. We would have a lobby full of like small things for everyone to do for like an hour, and then we would go watch this really old grindhouse style film. We'd have an intermission, have a little sketch on the stage, and then watch the rest of the film and then go home. A ton of fucking fun, especially if you like those old style grindhousey type movies.
Oh, yeah.
You could also heckle it too, but like when I first went to TFO, heckling wasn't huge, and then they moved into the bigger auditorium. Heckling was sort of a thing, but if you just started yelling dumb shit, they had to put a promo before the movie started that was like, please shut the fuck up. So there was a lot of fun, but when that was going on, there was a gentleman that we used to hang out with there named Big Gay Paul. The reason he was Big Gay Paul was because he was like 6'8", 250 pounds easily, like the epitome of a bear. He even had like a very feminine way of speaking. Like, hey guys, and it was very like I love Big Gay Paul. He was great. But he had a pipe.
So he was big. He was gay. What was his name though?
Paul.
Oh, it really was Paul?
Yeah, it was really Paul. Paul Brown,
Okay.
I believe, is his full name. But I should probably give full names on the podcast, but whatever. My favorite thing that he ever did was there was a mini game where it was like right before Halloween or right after Halloween, and they had a like a cardboard cutout where you'd stick your hand in a hole, and you would put your hand into something, and it could be a prize.
That's called fisting, Greg.
All right, Josh, God damn it. This is a Christian podcast.
The hell it is.
So my buddy Dwara and my brother Josh and I believe my friend Skylar were all behind that board, like putting things out for people to put their hands in. And like I said, sometimes it was a prize, candy, or something like that. So Big Gay Paul, all of a sudden you just hear him go, "Ew, a glory hole," and he sticks his dick in there.
My God. What?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Before anyone was in the lobby, so it didn't become a problem. But like when they were practicing and getting things ready before opening the lobby, that's what Josh and Dwar heard was like, "Ooh, a glory hole," and they just see a fucking dick come in.
Oh my God.
I love Paul so much. He's hilarious. One of my favorite things that he did to Jeff was, and I believe that this might have been one of the biggest reasons that Jeff kind of got over his homophobia, was Paul knew that Jeff was squeamish at this point in his life. Like he had kind of started getting over it, but not quite. It takes some time. But he knew that Jeff was squeamish to gay people, and he had a weed pipe that was shaped like a dick, and everyone was taking a hit off the pipe. No one thought twice about it, but Jeff was very apprehensive. So Big Gay Paul goes up behind him, puts his arms around him like in the movie Ghost, and says, "Let me show you how to put your lips on the end of this pipe." Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was hilarious. I wasn't there for that. I've heard that story like 3 different times from 3 different people, but it's the same story, so I know it to be true. But god damn it, that always makes me laugh. But I think because of that exposure that Jeff had to the people at TFO and people in Sacramento, that for the group as a whole, kind of got Jeff to understand that his homophobia was wrong. And I think
go ahead, finish your thought.
I was gonna say, I think that's the point I was making as like over everything was exposure can get somebody into a better frame of mind.
It absolutely can. That's what I was actually going to say because, unfortunately, I moved back to the same town I grew up in a few years back. And when I was in high school, late 80s, early 90s, homophobia was just like, okay, if you were gay, that there was something wrong with that person, and you didn't want to be around gay people. And
did you have one openly out at your school?
Not openly, no. I do have a friend who people would say behind his back, he's such a girl, he's such an F word, he's so gay. And, I was like, I was still friends with him. I was nice to him and everything. He was a nice dude. And I reached out to him recently. We're friends on Facebook. And I was like, man, did I ever say anything to you just out of curiosity that was just totally out of line? He's like, I don't remember, to be honest. But if you did, I'm over it. And I was like, if I did, I'm really fucking sorry. He's like, I don't imagine that you would. But, he's a friend and everything. But we didn't have we didn't have anybody openly gay, no. So when I moved away from here, I moved to South Carolina. I was living with my grandmother. Her best friend was gay. And he was one of these people who came out after he had been married for 20-some years and had grown kids and came to the realization, I'm not happy and this is why. And he's like, I'm gay. And, it was very extravagant, in your face. You knew he was gay, kind of flamboyancy. But I never had been around anyone that was openly gay. And my first time meeting him, I was scared to death. I was nervous because of my upbringing, where I had been. And at the end of the night, I was like, what have I been afraid of? What in the world was I ever afraid of? This guy's funny as hell. He's nice as can be. He's good as gold to my grandma. He was nice to me. I enjoy this guy's company, so he's attracted to dudes. So what? And that exposure helped me get over it. I think that's the same reason why I've never felt that I'm a racist, even though I have done racist things only because out of ignorance and not out of malice, because I didn't know any better when I was younger. But having friends of color so early on in my life that I saw how the treatment that they would receive, it's like, it's a horrible type of discrimination to ever have. But because of the region we come from, when there's not that exposure, it's so much more prevalent. And it's like I alluded to earlier, when you bring it up and people are just like, why is everything got to be about race? Why is everything got to be about this gay agenda? And I'm just like, why can't people just be people? Why are you so bent out of shape about it? Why are you upset?
Yeah, why do you care what two people are doing by themselves with you not involved?
Yeah, exactly.
Or more people. I mean, with
Yeah, I don't care. I've got friends who are polyamorous. I've got a throuple that's a friend, group, and they've been at it for years and it works for them. And I'm like, more power to you.
Exactly. Whatever makes you happy. If you're not harming others in this world with your actions or your viewpoints, you're not doing anything wrong in my book. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I came into this world as, an old soul or what, but I've always felt that way. And I think, again, growing up in the military, you've got people from all different kinds of backgrounds and ethnicities. Mm-hmm. And we're a family on a base,
Yeah.
You're straight up family. And coming back here where, it's nothing but white people, it's just a sea of white people, I was so culture shocked. But, it never dawned on me not to stand up for the little guy, because that's just who I am. I remember when I went to Tennessee High my sophomore year, there was a student there who was openly dressed as a woman but was born a male. And they called this person it. And it upset me. It upset me and it hurt me so much. And it was the whole school, what the fuck could I do other than, just ignore people when they said it, just, that's not cool. I'm not talking with you right now, And I always wonder what happened to that person, because I never had a class with them. I didn't have lunch with them. I never got to know them. We just passed in the halls. But I know this had to have an effect on them. And it was horrible.
Absolutely. And, I would love to think that they're okay and they're at their good spot in their life.
I like to think so too. And I really, really hope so. And that, this made them a stronger person in the end, because there were all kinds of rumors, and I don't know how this person got to be where they were, but, I was proud of them for living their life as they wanted to in the 90s. I mean, that was a big wow.
Especially around here.
Northeast Tennessee. Yeah, that's huge, Yeah.
Well, since we're on the topic of social issues, why don't we go to the last topic of the day?
All right.
Oh, yes. So we were going to talk about feminism, and go ahead, Greg. Yeah, I'll let you run this.
No, you're right. We were. That's exactly what the topic's going to be about, just for everyone to kind of be prepared. This topic got brought up because I don't remember who discussed it, but I remember that, or what it was exactly about. But I remember on Facebook there was a conversation between a bunch of us, and Betty was involved in that, where we kind of got on the topic about social issues and feminism as a whole.
Was it because of the post that a former friend of mine made equating my support of women's rights and females' rights to choose to being the moral equivalency of a 19th century slaveholder?
That was it, yes. That was the one. I wrote it down in my notes to talk about certain things when, but I specifically wrote, and I'm not joking, right? I wrote feminism, or I said modern feminism, and then parentheses next to it, when we have Betty back on. Those were my and
okay.
recently,
So, and this wasn't planned. I just hit you up. I was like, "Hey, you going to be free this week? You know, maybe you want to come on." And so I told Greg, I was like, Betty's wanting to come on again. He's like, oh, great, I've got topics. And I was like, oh, really? What are they? Because we never have topics. And that's when I related it to you.
So recently, the reason I want to also, like, I'm glad we talked about it this week, because something hilarious has happened on the internet. And it involves the weasel named Ben Shapiro. He recently decided to review, if you want to call it that, a song by Cardi B called WAP, or WAP, which stands for Wet Ass Pussy. On his show, he decides to read all the lyrics verbatim. It made me laugh so fucking hard that I went and I'm gonna do my impression of him, but I'm gonna read the lyrics of a different song. It's called "Fuck the Pain Away" by Peaches. So, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to do my best impression of Ben Shapiro reading the lyrics to Peaches. Sorry, to Fuck the Pain Away by Peaches. Sucking on my T-words like you wanted me, calling me all the time like Blondie, checking out my Chrissy behind. I'm not sure what Chrissy means, but probably has to do with something sexual. It's fine all of the time, like sex on the beaches. What else is in the teaches of peaches? Huh? What? Sucking on my T-words like you wanted me, calling me all the time, like Chrissy's behind, as I said earlier. Fine all of the time. What else is in the teaches of peaches? Like sex on the beaches. Huh? What? Huh? Right? What? Huh? Huh? What? Right? Huh? What? Huh? Right? Huh? What? Huh? Right? Huh? SIS, IUD. Stay in school because it's the best. Now, I agree with that particular thing. Like, you want to stay in school. That is a good idea. She repeats this 4 more times, and then she repeats the lyrics of sucking on my T-words. Now, my wife is a doctor, and I had her read these lyrics, and she said that she's concerned with the sucking on titties, like that might be an Oedipus
on the what?
Complex. Sorry, T-words. I'm sorry, T-words.
Yeah, T-words.
She continued
Don't
to
be
say
offensive.
that this. Oh, God. Later in the song, she repeats the lyrics, F word the pain away. This to me is a psychological issue. Like, she has emotional issues with her father, and she needs to have some other man, or possibly a woman, I don't judge, try to
now,
F word her pain away.
If you're impersonating Ben Shapiro, he absolutely will judge.
Oh, well, that's the thing. That's
okay. Yeah, got daddy issues. Just straight up daddy issues.
Like, he already judged in my thing of calling it daddy.
God forbid a woman enjoy the fuck out of sex. I mean, heaven forbid. Is it not allowed? I'm sorry. I've met women that are openly expressive about how much they enjoy sex, and good for them. Good for anybody that enjoys it. You know why? Because it's fucking fun. And it feels great.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, there used to be a time where it was believed that a woman had to have an orgasm as well as a man for conception to take place. Now, it's not true, but actually a woman's orgasm does help sperm reach the fallopian tubes to get to the egg.
Well, I'm sorry. If you don't make sure that happens, you're a selfish asshole.
Yeah, right.
One of the things that I thought was really funny about Ben Shapiro's little, what the fuck ever you want to call it, is
his rant.
It's like when William Shatner would go on and read like rap lyrics and stuff on late night TV. That was always the best, you know. And this was pure gold. I was just enthralled with his reading. It was precious.
What was funny though is when he actually said, I had my wife look at this to see what the various vaginal problems these women are experiencing.
They're not
like, what do you mean?
Any problems.
It's not
If
a
you got
problem.
a
It sounds
wet
like
ass pussy, it means everything's going exactly as it should.
exactly.
The other thing that he
Exactly.
says, the other thing he says in there is that he makes it a point to say that this song is what liberals call feminism, or that this is peak feminism, or something to that effect. And
Yeah,
I'm
this
just
is
like,
what you asked for. This is modern
This is the
feminism
peak of
at its height.
modernism. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no, it's not. It's one tiny facet of what feminism is, which is, I'm sorry, if Donald Trump has the right to talk about my pussy, then I fucking have a right to talk about my pussy.
More of a
Don't
right
tell
than
me.
he does too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is nothing new. I remember songs, both male and female, from growing up that included things about genitalia. That again.
Yeah.
So what? She goes out and she writes a song about. Good for her. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. It's that simple. There is
and
lots
that's the
of
thing.
music out there I don't like. I don't listen to it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nickelback.
This song,
like
I
Nickelback.
wouldn't listen to. I wouldn't listen to her to WAP at any point in my life because it's not my jam. It's not A, not for me, and B, it's not something that I want to listen to in the first place. It's not my thing. I have absolutely no room, right, or reason to tell others that A, they can't listen to it, or B, that she can't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Again, it's not something that normally would have ever reached my radar, but now it has.
Exactly.
Now I'm going to listen to it. I mean, it's like Queen Herbie came out with a song called Sugar Daddy. I love it. I've had a sugar daddy. I don't have one now. I have a husband, but I've done my thing in my time. And again, that is part of feminism, is acknowledging that, what, I have this asset. People are willing to pay for it. I'm not a bad person for taking advantage of it if I want to.
Not at all.
And
that's
I
the thing
did
is
it.
that somebody else pointed out, like, men for years have been singing and rapping about their fucking dicks.
Oh yeah, and women's wet pussies.
Yeah, they've been talking. Yeah,
they have been talking about it all the time.
Even and even other people's. Are you?
Yeah,
down
I mean,
with OPP?
well, obviously they're not talking about their own.
Nice. It's so weird to me, and because of Ben Shapiro's little rant, because of the conversation we had on Facebook, I was like, you know what, I want to talk about modern day feminism, because feminism, when it first became a phrase, when people were starting to kind of go about it, I don't want to go back to suffrage because I don't think that's necessarily the right time.
Yeah,
era.
they were into some weird stuff that we would not consider appropriate today. Like temperance movement was a huge thing.
Right.
Not to mention a lot of the women who started the suffragette movement were white racist bitches.
Yeah.
I can't lie to you. They did great things, but it's like, they were also white racist bitches. When the black women came and were like, we want this too, they were like, back of the line, lady. Right. I mean, acknowledge the fact that your heroes have flaws. They are part of their environments.
And I think because of that, like, the idea of feminism has changed, and I don't want to use the word radicalized, but in a sense it kind of has over the past so many years. And a lot of people will sit there and demonize quote unquote modern day feminism simply because it is, God, it's not like they have their own connotations to what modern day feminism is. And I think there's extremist feminism and there's so I think that's like, because the waters have been muddied on feminism, I wanted to discuss like what can make us males and anybody else who doesn't quite know a better ally in regards to feminism and women's rights as a whole.
Well, it really depends on which feminist you ask. I personally do not consider myself a feminist. I am a humanist. That encompasses feminism, because I have encountered rabid feminist in my 40 years of life. I have been told personally that I can't be a feminist because I chose to be a stay-at-home mother. And I'm like, do you not understand that the whole point of the feminist movement was for me to have the choice to stay home or to go to work? That I had the ability to make that choice?
That's how I was raised. Like my mom always raised me and my brothers to respect women's choices versus saying what they can or can't do.
And, unfortunately, I do believe that women are some of the worst perpetrators, because when you have a woman who reaches a point of power in a very male dominated field, she's not likely to help other women up. She's likely to push them down because she's afraid of losing her own position. And it's not a very, we need women ourselves, we need to be more friendly with each other and stop trying to, hold a top spot in a man's world, and instead look for equal spots in an equal world. It's not about taking away men's rights. It's just meaning that I'm not a second class citizen just simply because I have a female brain. That's not fair.
I thought you
And
were
that's how it's been.
For half a second there, I thought you were going to make a joke and saying because I have a wet ass pussy.
Well, not all women have wet ass pussies. So
Ben Shapiro's wife certainly doesn't. That's like the fucking Sahara.
That's God's honest truth. Women have gone through menopause. They got to get a little help to get that wet ass pussy. But it's,
and you can buy it in your at your local pharmacy.
Yes, you can. But if you want to be an ally for women, it's really being an ally for humanity. One of the things that I think that men would benefit from to become better allies for women is acknowledging the social toxic masculinity that our culture also holds up.
Yes.
It's not just men who do this. Women raise their sons in this toxic masculinity environment. We have to stop it too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's something I was gonna say was like men are constantly told by their mothers that they cannot cry, or that they have to uphold a certain ideal in the house or something to that effect, and that can have very negative repercussions on a young man's mind.
The type of
things we could delve into with my mother and my upbringing and the region I lived in. To this day, she is like, children are to be seen and not heard. A woman's place is in the fucking kitchen.
Make me a sandwich.
And she's like, she gets so livid when my sister, who's 20, she's 20 something. Anyway, no, she's in her 30s now. Holy shit, she'll be 32 this year. My bad. Sorry. Oh, wait, you've never listened to my show. She gets so angry when she doesn't have dinner hot, ready on the table for her husband when he gets home from work. She calls them bitches. Why haven't you gotten him supper ready yet? I'm sorry.
None of your business.
What the fuck? He doesn't know how to make a sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
My mom still adheres to that fucking aspect, to where the point where my stepdad, who is 10 years younger than her, only like 9 years older than me, to where he will go hungry before he'll make himself something to eat if it's not involved in cooking something on the grill.
Oh, that's just stupid.
Yeah. It's terrible, and that is part of that toxic masculinity mindset. The whole gender roles. No, you have to do this. She got furious at my brother because my brother would do laundry for his second wife while she studied for whatever classes she was studying in college at the time. She's like, she should have done that laundry before you got home from work. I'm like, oh my God. Stop telling people how to live their fucking lives in this day and age.
Well, I did go on a group that I'm on, and I asked some ladies, some things that they would say about, being an ally for women's rights, and housework was definitely mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, men do tend to think that it's an inherently female thing. And again, that goes back to, I think, toxic masculinity, because that's what they've been raised to think.
Yeah.
No one taught them how to do their own laundry. No one taught them how to cook their own food. No one taught them how to use a mop or use a broom. So they go out into the world and they're just lost. That's why so many stick around mommy, because, mommy, as long as they're still living in mommy's house, mommy's doing their laundry, mommy's cooking their meals, mommy's cleaning their messes.
Or right next door to them.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that happened recently for me, recently-ish, was when my dad was in the hospital getting what was he doing? Oh, he was having a kidney biopsy because they wanted to study his kidney. That's what it was. It was going to take like 4 hours, and I was in the parking lot. And when I tell that story, I go, I was waiting in the parking lot, and then like my dad's nurse called me, and he says this and da-da-da, and that it's going to take 4 hours. So he was like, you don't want to stay in this neighborhood. You want to go home or something. Every time I say that, somebody's just like, wait, he? Yeah, men can be nurses. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's not just a female oriented, or like when I was working in the lunchroom. Do you know how many men I saw in the lunchroom?
Just you?
Pretty much most of the time. It was super rare I saw a man. So when I'd mention it, what was the main joke I heard all the time? That I was a lunch lady. And I thought it was kind of funny, so I went with it. But, there were a few people that were just like, wait, so you're like a lunch lady? And I'm like,
living in lunch lady land.
Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe.
I love Adam Sandler. I am a product of the 90s, so what can I say?
I don't love all of his movies. He did have some rough ones, but I still love Sandler.
Yeah.
So, Uncut Gems, if you haven't seen it, watch it. He is masterful in that movie.
I'll say this about Adam Sandler. When he tries, he's hilarious. When he tries, he's great. When he's not trying and he's just making movies for the sake of going on vacation, not so much. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that like I'm glad you brought that up, Betty, because I think that that's part of what I consider feminism is equality. I've always thought that. I have fought this argument multiple times that childbirth is one of the most painful experiences of a woman can go through.
Oh, yes.
But as it's been proven, a very similar pain is being kicked in the balls. A very similar pain. Actually,
it's more accurate to compare it to kidney stones. Because I've had women who have said that kidney stones are very close to giving birth. It's very much the same kind of pain.
I've been kicked in the gonads, and it's unpleasant, but it stops after like 5 minutes.
Right.
Whereas labor goes on for over, can go on 40 hours in some cases.
I was in labor for 14 hours. My older sister, with her first child, she was in labor for like 40 hours.
My mom said she was.
Well, that's the point I'm getting.
She was in labor with me for 40 hours, and I think that's why she's had so much hostility towards me my entire life.
Probably a little bit, yeah.
I think that's one of the points that I'm getting at with the whole getting kicked in the nuts thing is that one of the arguments I always make, and I've made to multiple people, is when you say something like the fact that the pain of being kicked in the nuts is similar to childbirth, you're taking away the idea that the pain of being kicked in the nuts goes away after a small amount of time. Mm-hmm. I think too many men out there will sit there and say like, oh, it's the same thing. Oh, it's the same kind of pain.
No, it's
like, I was like, it may be on the same scale, but you're experiencing it for like 30 seconds versus hours or even or whatever time amount it may be. I was like, imagine, I told the guy one time, I said, imagine being kicked in the nuts for like 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even count the stretching and the tearing.
Right. It doesn't. No. But that's what the point of my argument was. Like, I think a lot of men will use that small fact and try to run with it and be like, oh, childbirth isn't that bad. It's like, no, motherfucker, that's not the point of the fucking.
If childbirth weren't that bad, men would have babies if they could. But for the sheer fact we know that it's rough, you don't see if it were medically feasible for men to start giving birth tomorrow, how many men are you going to see signing up say, yeah, let's have babies?
Right, that's my point. Like I think that's where the point comes in right away, is that most men can't handle being kicked in the nuts for that pain for 30 fucking seconds. What in what world makes them think they'd handle it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours?
Well, there are videos on YouTube of like the Try Guys. They took a TENS unit and attached it to the parts of the body where you most experience labor, and they went through the
simulated labor pains with electronic simulation.
And I mean, it was intense for these boys. And, they're not even doing it for 30, 40 minutes. And it's like, imagine that for 14 hours. I woke up at
or longer
in the morning in labor. I was eating at Cracker Barrel in labor. I was like, I'm not going to the doctor until I'm sure. And if I'm going into the hospital, I'm eating real food before I get there. So, my labor was very quick. It progressed very quickly once they got the epidural in me and it took hold. I mean, they were like, 10 o'clock at night. I told my mom to go eat. Next thing you know, the nurse is like, I can see the head. And I was like, oh shit, call my mom back. It's happening, It was, I mean, 30 minutes of pushing or so. And I had to have oxygen because my heartbeat dropped and her heartbeat dropped. But, comparatively, my labor was not that bad. No, as I know some other women who have gone through labor, my family, especially, their pregnancies and labor are horrible. But I don't think it's labor and delivery and pregnancy is something totally within the realm of those who have a uterus and a vagina. That's just it.
Right.
I mean, you can try and sit there and compare, all you want, but it will never be the same. Exactly. just let it go. It's not a competition, this is something that we're built to do. This is what we do. This is how life continues. So just let it go. It's not a competition, but it's in my realm. Let me deal with it. Don't tell me how to deal with something that you're never going to fucking experience in your life as somebody who has a penis. We can't transplant uteruses and ovaries at this point. When that happens, then come back and talk to me when you get pregnant, Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately where my big thing comes from when I only use that example to try to get men to understand. Like a while ago, a long time ago, years ago, I had a friend that lived up front and there was a conversation on Facebook about something in regards to childbirth or being kicked in the nuts or something to that effect. And everyone's just kind of making fun of it. And my comment was like, I was like, yeah, I mean, if you let me know when you try to push a watermelon through a tiny hole, like, let me know when that happens and we'll talk about pain. And the response I got was like, look at Greg being a feminist. And I'm like, cause it's a fucking painful process. Like, I don't understand how that makes me
a bad thing.
That's exactly how they said. Like,
it's not a bad thing. Yeah, Greg's a feminist, and Greg probably gets laid more than you do. So whatever.
I don't. But that's besides the point.
Well, you don't know. I mean, maybe you do.
I mean, he had this couch.
All right. God damn it. I don't even know what gender the couch was. Genderless. So, very pansexual of me.
You
No,
were a contemporary, sir, ahead of your time.
Yeah, I just think it's funny. Like that's my point about the whole like being kicked in the nuts versus giving birth situation is that it doesn't matter how similar the pain may or may not be. What matters is the fact that you aren't, as a man, giving the respect that childbirth deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what pisses me off. And to go into the childbirth situation, like kind of what we were talking about on Facebook, like in what world gives you the right, because you have a penis, to tell someone with a vagina what they can do with that vagina?
Yeah, you don't have a right. That's what I say all the time. It's like, I'm sorry. This is my body. I control my body and what goes on within my body. I do not sit there and tell you that because, crackhead X has 10 kids with 7 different women, he has to have a vasectomy.
Right.
That I can't say, I think that I ain't gonna lie. I think that I'm like, damn, we need to be handing out free vasectomies and free sterilization for women because the world would be a better place, because I know there are people who would take it. $500 a pop, I mean that think of all the child welfare we wouldn't have to pay for if we allowed, willing sterilization. But when it comes to sterilization for women, it's hard as hell to get. You got to be over a certain age and have a certain number of children. If you're a 28-year-old woman who knows deep down inside you don't want kids, good luck finding somebody to tie your tubes.
Yeah, they're like, well, you've not had children yet, so you weren't sure about this decision. You don't live my life. How can you say that?
Yeah, but if you're a 22-year-old male and you walk into a urologist and say you want a vasectomy, they're like $500, get on the table. Nobody questions you. Nobody says, oh, well, I need your husband or your wife's signature. But if I wanted to go and get my tubes tied, there are still a lot of doctors who would say they need my husband's permission. I'm like, how fucked up is that? This is not his body. This is my body. It's like if I have an abortion, you don't get to call my husband and get his permission for it. It's my body. Maybe I don't want him to know.
Right.
Not that that's ever going to happen, but
I think that also goes in the idea of like of male respect when it comes to that sort of thing. Is I do believe that if a woman, like a man and a woman, are together, then a relationship, a loving relationship, let's say they're even married, and the woman goes and gets an abortion without his like knowledge, like they didn't even talk about it, I kind of find that wrong.
Well,
there's reasons,
there's
it's not my place to judge.
True.
It's still her body no matter what. If she goes to the doctor and she gets antibiotics for an STD, it's not my place to tell her that she has to tell her husband.
True.
I mean,
I think it's a moral situation in that regard, because like,
say she's in an abusive relationship and is planning on leaving the husband,
and
all of a sudden,
right,
boom, she doesn't want that. Yeah.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
If something were to happen and say Misty were to get pregnant again, and Misty decided to not keep it for whatever reason and didn't tell me about it, I wouldn't be angry. It wasn't my choice. I look at it as this, and I've seen this be ruled in a court case where a judge told a man that once the semen left his body and he gave it to the woman to do with as she will, it was hers. And I was like, I look at it like that. It's like, this is my gift to you. Do with it what you will, and if you want to get rid of it, get rid of it. It's out of my hands now. Well, it wasn't in my hands to begin with, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And, and that whole thing is just, again, that's just another part of, feminism, is acknowledging the fact that women are human. It's acknowledging the fact that, toxic masculinity exists and we all play a part in it. It's acknowledging that women have a right to govern their own bodies,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I should never, ever, ever look at a board of directors on a subject that involves women's health care and not a woman to be seen. That should just never happen. But
No,
it
absolutely
does. It does.
I-
And misinformation gets spread out there. I mean,
Right.
and respect. That a lot of men don't understand, even in, I'm not going to say that all men are bad, because all men are not bad. They're really great men, and you two are really great men, because here you are exploring this subject. But I think they're, in some point in most men's life, they've been a douche.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean,
I was when I was younger. I'm ashamed of who
For
I
sure.
used to be, but I'm proud of who I've become.
absolutely. You've learned and you've grown. It's like I tell my daughter, okay, you made a mistake. Did you learn from it? Well, yes. Okay, then it is a mistake that you have learned a lesson from, and you won't repeat it. Don't do it again. Then it becomes a habit if you keep
Mhm.
doing it. So, it's respecting us as individuals, and it's understanding that we have thoughts and ideas, and we can be just as intelligent, because, we're still in an age where women got the right to vote in America in 1922. And here we are, where we still only make up a small percentage of government. We still only make up a small percentage of the more technological fields in STEM. I mean, we still have a wage gap. We have no real, you know, cushion for women who find themselves pregnant in the workplace, unlike all these other first world countries.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, they get anywhere from 6 months to a year paid leave,
yeah,
and a woman here 6 weeks unpaid leave if
if
she's
you're
lucky.
lucky.
If
And
she's lucky.
And
Mhm.
that's something else that somebody brought up, and I absolutely agree with. If you want to support women, support welfare for women and children. Anything that comes to helping single mothers, even single fathers, and children should be done. It's like I tell people all the time, if you want to see abortion numbers fall in America, you will never see it end. It will never happen. Even if you outlaw it, there will still be abortion. But if you want to see them fall, make sure that the women who end up pregnant have a cushion, that they do not feel that they have to choose between a child or finances and being able to pay their bills.
Something
You
that
know?
always frustrates the shit out of me is that the people who are protesting outside of a Planned Parenthood haven't done a lick of research as to what Planned Parenthood does. Their entire basis is to get people prepared for parenthood, not just do abortions.
Yeah.
That's why it's
There's a whole
called
And it's other,
Planned
yeah.
Parenthood. It's
But
in the
it's also
name.
other parts of women's reproductive health,
Right.
like free mammograms and breast cancer screening and pap smears, which are very important things. I
They
think,
also offer a great service to LGBTQ members.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, it, and the thing too is the people who are often protesting against abortion are also the same people who, would tell you that we have welfare queens and they shouldn't be getting food stamps and blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Right.
well,
Same
you
people that
can't
say
have
that.
it both ways, because it's like the fetus only matters while it's a fetus. Once it's born, you don't care anymore.
Right.
Otherwise we would not be in the condition we're in. Children would have free healthcare. Women would have free healthcare. Everyone would have free healthcare. People would have, paid time off to take care of the children that you say you want brought into this world. But, as it is, we have over 500,000 children in foster care. And it's something I ask people all the time who say they're pro-life. How many children have you adopted? How many foster kids do you have?
How much money have you donated to these
And
organizations
you know
that
what
take
the
care of these
answer?
kids?
The answer usually is none. And I'm like,
I
then
have
why
a-
aren't you doing your part?
I have
You know?
friends, a married couple. They have 5, maybe 6 foster kids. Because they didn't think they'd ever have their own. and then they actually had their own, but they just love kids so much they actually fostered like 3 or 4 more afterwards, and they're great. I love it. It is, I know another woman. She had a couple of kids. She became pregnant again, but she didn't want to go the abortion route. She chose to put the child up for adoption. And then one of my friends, who they said, you'll never have kids, she was able to adopt a child. And now she's actually had one of her own within the past year, and she's got a family now, and she's so happy. And, it's great to see families born like this, but, these aren't the people that are out there protesting abortion clinics and Planned Parenthoods. These aren't and it's a shame, because if more people did that, there, like you said, there wouldn't be the need for them.
Yeah. If I felt that I could carry a child to term in the first place, and that it would go to a good home, and that it wouldn't end up in the foster care system, as so many newborn babies do, then I would feel more secure in that option. But, right now, no. And I'm sorry, but, at the point when a woman typically has an abortion, that's not a baby. It could not be a baby. It could not live without my body. It takes my body for this thing to continue its existence. It's also the same time when a woman's body is more likely to have a miscarriage for a reason, because this is when things go wrong. This is when it's easiest to deal with. An abortion is much easier than an adoption, because I know women who've had abortions that deal with it so much better than women who've actually adopted out children, because those children are out there and now that's all they think about.
Yeah. They think of the what ifs.
What if I kept them? What if they were still with me? Where would they be right now? Will they come and look for me one day? All those what ifs that plague a woman. It's horrible to see. It's horrible to watch, Yeah. Again, I think abortion rights are very, up there on the list. So, welfare for women and children is up there on the list. And something else that, I do want to touch on, because it was brought up by several women, is believing women, or letting women find you as a safe space when it comes to harassment that they've dealt with. When women tell men about things, usually a male's first response, and this is biological, is to fix it. Something's broke, I will fix it. I am Tarzan, hear me roar. A lot of times,
Tarzan, Eugene.
Yeah. It's biological. They've studied this. It is very much a biological thing. It's like when a woman cries, it makes men uncomfortable. It's like a biological response that men have. Women's tears make them uncomfortable, which makes them want to do something to stop the thing from crying.
My experience in this is, did I cause this? No. Can I help? No. Okay. If you need me, let me know. And leave it at that.
That's what men need to be. They need to be, again, sometimes a woman just needs someone to talk to, someone to be that ear, to listen, and that shoulder to lean on. They don't need you to fix everything, and if I'm explaining to you that I was raped, I don't need you to tell me to go to the police. I'm not stupid. I know what I should do, but there might be reasons why I don't want to. I don't need you to fix this for me or tell me how to fix it. I just need you to be there to comfort me. And I see that a lot of women feel that way. And, I think it's something to touch upon. And, as a man, you don't have to fix everything for us.
Right.
It's okay, just to listen and be there. And, if you feel like you want to fix something, ask us if, we want it to be fixed. If we say no, respect that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like one of the things, you and I, we have conversations on Facebook through Messenger. Mm-hmm. many friends that I keep up with on a regular basis and talk to. And when one is having a bad day, I'm just like, you know what? Just go. Just
Yeah.
type. I will read and I will respond when I see you're no longer typing. And, I'll offer my assistance in any way if there's something that I can do. But for the most part, I'm there just to listen. You get that off your chest, off of your mind, that burden that so many people feel. It's like I feel better just having had someone listen to me. That's a
Yeah.
major thing.
I mean, that's like, that's what I've always been, that person who does that for other people. I'm the therapist of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, "Oh, why am I so drawn to you?" It's like, because I listen. It's something you don't find in a lot of people. I'm willing to listen to you, and let you get it all out on me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing about when certain men hear about feminism, they do the same thing that white people do when they hear about white privilege.
Right.
They
100%.
and it's always interesting because what I want to say to them is this issue isn't about you, first off, and secondly, no one is saying that your life hasn't been hard. No one is saying that you are you haven't had a rough time being a male in this society. What we're saying is when we talk about feminism, or being an ally to females, at least from my perspective, is you as a male have certain advantages that females don't.
Yes.
Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you recognize them and understand that you benefit from those, simply means that you are unknowingly getting things that other
And
people don't.
it doesn't make you a bad person because you benefit from these things. What makes you a bad person is not trying to make society more equal so other people also benefit from the same things you get to benefit from.
Now, my question to you would be, I kind of know the answers, but what would you suggest men do, or even white people do, in order to help those problems? Again, I know some answers off the top of my head, like vote and educate others and stuff like that.
Definitely vote. I mean, I'm a religious voter. I always exercise my right to vote, even in the small.
I'm a secular voter.
Yeah, well, I have great belief in the government and its ability to do the right thing if we elect the right people. So definitely voting is a big thing. Voting for people who will enhance women and children, who are looking to bridge the gap between the sexes and the genders. And, again, because feminism isn't just about women, it's about everyone. It really is. And that's why I say I'm a humanist and not a feminist, because I know feminist scares males. There's a lot of men who hear that and they're like, ah, and I understand that, because the truth is, in every group, whoever screams the loudest is the one who's usually heard, and it's the crazy ones who are screaming the loudest. And that's unfortunately true with the modern feminist movement. And we have terms like TERFs, and it's something my kid knows. She's known about for 3 years now, and it's horrible. I'm like, God,
Yeah,
this is not the feminine. The feminist movement I grew up with in the 90s was not like this. This has gone some weird, strange way, and I don't understand it. But
that's kind of what I was meaning by, like, when I wanted to title this topic "Modern Feminism," because it has changed since when I was a kid. My mom was raising me on respecting women and all that kind of stuff. It definitely has a new connotation to it because of specific aspects, like you said, the turf situation. Like it's
specific aspects, and then you have your backlashes, like incels and men's rights groups.
Yeah.
And it's like, Nobody's here to take your rights away. Nobody wants that. We just want to be equal. It's like, I'm sorry, if I'm a woman who can haul coal and out in and out of the mines, I should be paid just as much as a man if I want to do it. If I'm a female soldier that can hold my own with every other male soldier out there because I tend to be built in a way that can do that, let that woman do it. Respect her. Let her have it. It's, not everyone is built to do that. Not every male is built to be a soldier. So don't look down on me because I can't do it, but don't hold her back because she happens to have a vagina and she wants to do it. It's very much about being inclusive. And I think you really have now, there's a very distinct layer between the alt-right feminism, where it's so much about me as a woman, like J.K. Rowling, and her not understanding that trans women are women. I'm like, vagina does not a woman make. That's not how this works.
Right.
Exactly.
If you take me and put me in a man's body, I'm still going to be me, and I am a woman. I'm not going to stop thinking like I think just because I happen to have a penis.
Right.
You can't.
Well, we have a mutual friend, Josh and I. Her name is Michelle. Michelle is a trans woman, and I've been friends with Michelle for damn near 6 years now, I want to say. And I've always known her to be a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog and of the Dreamcast, and we have very mutual feelings on certain movies like Speed Racer. I'm a very close friend of hers. At least I feel that way. And the thing for me is that I have had trans friends in the past, but I knew them post-transition. This is the first time in my life I've ever been friends with someone in the middle of their transition.
At the beginning?
Yeah, sorry, at the beginning. Yeah, sorry. I say mid because, like, apparently Michelle's been this way her whole life, but, due to the fact of
but the actual medical process.
Right.
That just started this year.
You're in a cocoon and you butterfly out. It's like you've been holding out in that cocoon for a while.
It's so wonderful to see her, like, just expressing herself and, sharing so much. It's inspiring. She is a delight.
The other day,
the world of her.
Last week, she contacted me and was like, "Hey, do you want to play Fall Guys?" And I was like, "I can't at the moment. I'm in a party with 3 other guys. I was in a party with you, Josh, and Andy and Keith." And I said, I told her, I was like, "I'll contact you when this is over. That'll be, a little bit." So it was like 10:30, and I contacted her and I said, "Are you still interested?" And she said, "Yeah." And the second we got into a party together on Discord, like, we just started talking about trans issues, trans stuff, just in general, what she's been going through and stuff like that. And I kind of felt bad because I was like, we're here to play a video game together, to hang out, to talk about stuff. And I'm just like I felt like I was just like, so tell me about all the trans stuff you're dealing with. Like, it just
at the same time, it probably feels good for her to be able to talk about this with someone that she's close to and not feel uncomfortable.
That's exactly what she said. She said. She was like, I'm happy to talk about it because I know that you're probably curious and you don't have all the information, and I'm more than willing to give you that information. And
yeah, she sees you as an ally. And so
I hope so.
Right. Yeah. And when it comes to modern feminism, again, I think we have very much a divided line between the old school and the new school. And I think the new school is being led by Gen Z, and it's inclusive because feminism, even in the 90s, I can't lie, it was very much a whitewashed issue. We did not include females of color. We did not include trans women. We did not include people who are non-binary. We did not include anyone that we did not see who identified as a white cis female.
Yeah.
And now with Gen Z, I love it because, it's taken feminism and again turned it into something new and beautiful. And what Ben Shapiro is trying to paint it as is, again, that's just one facet. You got to stand back and look at the entire diamond of what it is. And it's beautiful.
This is going to sound really bad, and I mean it as a comedic statement, but not all women have wet ass pussies. Just saying.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And, I cross my fingers and hold out hope that one day they will get one and understand the gloriousness that it is.
I hope you have to get a mop in a bucket.
Yeah, if you're getting a mop in a bucket, your man did it right. Or your lady did it right. Somebody did it right, and you're just happy. You're probably melted into a puddle somewhere. So, because again, I've been that lady.
There's been plenty of times I've had to break out the mops. Yeah. So
it's a change the sheets kind of night, right?
Flip the mattress.
I want to tell a slightly personal story that I think is really funny. So back when I had a girlfriend that I was sexually active with, which was a long fuck time ago at this point, I had no idea how to go down on a woman. I had no fucking clue. And when I tried the first time, I have as I'm sure a lot of you know, I have a really bad gag reflex. So my thought process on how to go down on a woman was like to tongue fuck her, which is not right at all. And I know that now at least. And she's just kind of like, this isn't working. And I'm sitting there like trying my best, going because I can't handle it. So, oh God, this is this is also another very personal story, like the couch situation. Continue.
Just went down the Howard Stern land, so let's just keep on going.
Yeah. So for weeks, like she would go down on me, and it was a great thing, and then I would just act like, oh well, I got mine, like da da da, and she became very upset and depressed by the fact that I wouldn't go down on her because I was so afraid to. I was like, I don't want to make her feel bad, not realizing I was already making her feel bad by not reciprocating what she had given me. And she had kind of told me eventually, and I was like, man, I'm a fucking idiot. And so what I did, so that way I could do it correctly, was I watched a video. I went to a porn site, and I looked up literally like, I was like cunnilingus instructions or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And like the woman was like, this is how you do it. This is where it is, yada, yada, yada. So like a week later, and I had told her, I said, I'm not going to do anything to myself until I can get you off. Like that was my goal. I was like, my reward will be watching you have an orgasm. So eventually, not right away, obviously, but like a few weeks later, her and I were, getting, laying in bed, and I decided I'm going to try it right now. I felt like she was in the mood. I went down there. I did everything that I had learned, got her off. And it was a very proud moment for me. I had learned, and I had learned the difference between a fake orgasm and a real orgasm right then and there.
Oh wow!
And later that day,
you would only experience fake ones before, huh?
Bless your heart.
Well, I imagine so. Like it was a completely different thing.
You just got bless your hearted, sir.
But now but again, that's what I was going to say. Porn has its place, and that is definitely where it is very handy to have. I think that any man who wants to please his woman in that way should watch some porn instructional videos, because it's only going to up your game. It can't make it worse, I mean,
it clearly did. Like
obviously.
so to finish off this story, because there is a funnier part to it. I think it's really fucking funny. So like an hour later, Like we were just kind of chilling. She got something to eat, which I was like, totally get some water, get something to eat. And we started watching.
Replenish those fluids, man.
Right, exactly. We started watching a movie, and I guess there was something in it that excited her because she decided to go down on me, and I was like, all right, cool. And again, keep in mind, I hadn't done anything. I hadn't touched myself or done anything in general for like a week and a half, give or take.
Uh-oh.
So it was backed up. So when I finished, because here's the thing about her, and I'm not using names for specific reasons, but she was one of the type of girls that didn't mind the taste and would take a shot in the mouth and even swallow it. And again, kissing and telling, and I kind of feel bad, but you guys don't know who she is.
Also, Jolene, if you're out there, please.
Oh my God. This is not Jolene.
Please get in touch.
This is not Jolene, FYI.
If you're out there. Girl. I know, but if you're out there, please get in touch with us because I need to hear your side of that fucking story.
Christ. Anyway, God damn it.
That was Greg's first encounter, by the way, and if you've not heard that story,
what had happened?
He puked on her.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you not heard the story?
No.
Okay. Well, won't tell. Well, I won't retell it on the podcast because we've already told it, but I'll tell you after we're done recording. It's hilarious. So at the end of the story, I had orgasm so much that it jolted her. She was like, that was too much. And I backed up too hard and hurt my knee. And I was like, oh shit, are you okay? She's like, I can't get up off the couch. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And she's like, can you walk to the liquor store and get me like something to drink or something? I was like, yeah, sure. There's nothing more awkward than like a post orgasm guy like rushing to the liquor store. Like I'm covered in like a different kinds of glazes, if you catch my drift. I'm just like, oh, now I feel even worse about the situation. But
you know they make things called washcloths, you uncouth swine.
Yeah.
Or at least a sock. Come on.
I'm telling you. Or
it's more of a joke than anything, but I did have to walk to the liquor store for her because she did hurt her knee being down there. I was like, I feel bad. But yeah, that was
your walk of shame?
It was basically a walk of shame, yeah. Yeah, I remember talking about this like the first day that she had gone to, like, we would just like, our relationship was weird. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but the first time that we met after having known each other for a month, we got down and dirty, and I decided to call my friend and tell him all about it because I was like, I'm a fucking stud, blah blah blah. And his wife had heard me talking about it, and she was just like, Greg, that is extremely fucking rude. You don't talk about that situation like right the fuck after. Like, what if she heard you talking to your friend about the situation? I was like, oh shit, you're right. My bad. Like, I felt really, I never talked about anything until like years later because I was like, it's funny that I couldn't go down on a girl. That's funny.
It is. I mean,
it's not funny.
I mean, we all, I think, everybody's got their issues, but you fixed it, obviously. So good for you. I mean, one of the things also mentioned was, this woman said that men can take a stand against rape culture by not engaging in locker room talk and the like, which, I'm sitting here thinking while we're having this conversation, is that locker room talk? I'm not really sure what she means.
I don't think that it is.
No,
because it's not among just a couple of guys. This is mutual story swapping in a roundabout fashion. We're all participating, but it's not what you would say locker room talk because we're not demeaning the people and we're not saying, so I was nailing this broad, right?
So that's
not disrespecting.
Because women, we talk about it too. I'm like,
I know,
don't, because we do. I mean,
absolutely. I've got I got some friends. They have their own podcast. It's called The Total Package. I love all the ladies on that show. They started their own podcast. They wanted Misty to be a part of it, but Misty's not the podcasting type. But they've had episodes where they talk nothing but about stuff like that. I'm aware.
It's like, if you send a girl a dick pic, she's going to share it. Especially if she don't like
found
you,
that out.
she's gonna share it.
I found that out the hard way. I mean, they asked for it. I gave it. And then they showed it to their mom, and their mom's like, nice. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's the thing, don't send dick pics to women unless you want your dick to be shared with a whole bunch of other women who are going to be laughing at it, because it's going to happen. It is. It's just like, I tell my daughter, don't take naked pictures of you, because they will get out there, and not just the person you send them to will end up seeing them. That's just how it works,
I think my friend's wife was getting after me more for the fact that I was quote unquote kissing and telling versus just telling my friend that we had sex or something to that effect, like being more vague about it.
Well, again, I have sisters. There's 5 of us all together. So this happens with women too. Again, there are things that I know about some of my sisters' partners that I don't want to know, and I will never tell another soul. And I'm like, why do you keep telling me this stuff? Because I don't need to know this, because now I can't look at certain people the same way ever again.
Oh,
yeah.
We're gonna call him Crooked Timmy. Hi, Crooked Timmy.
And,
well, like a lot of people also get after, because they're like, why would you tell the couch story? Why would you tell, these stories that are embarrassing?
Funny.
And I'm just like, because imagine like I'm a comedian. I'm standing on stage telling the story. It's because it's making people laugh.
Yeah, I mean, sex stories are usually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Something went wrong. Everybody's laughing. Something went wrong.
Yeah. When we're done recording here, I'll have to tell you about the Jolene story. It's really fucking funny.
Please, if anybody knows her, get her in contact with us. I swear.
I know she's
coming on this show.
It's God. I told the story on the podcast, and we got a bunch of feedback from people just saying that was fucking way too funny. I'm just like, I'm glad you all got some entertainment out of it.
Yeah, sounds like maybe it wasn't so entertaining for you when it happens.
Oh no, not even a little bit.
Not when it happened. No.
I can tell you, I dated a guy once, and I thought he was awesome. He was so cute. And of course, I was a teenager. And the first time we had sex, he literally had like no penis. There's just nothing to be had. And I was like, okay. And then he's all like, yeah, it feels great. And I was like, I can't feel anything at all. I'm like,
oh my,
doing this now? Yeah, I know it was really bad. And I tell you, how every guy has a shit yourself story, every woman has a teeny peeny story. So, and yeah, that relationship didn't last very long, because it was, I mean, I feel like I should have been warned, I mean, he should have had some other skills to compensate for that, and he did not. So,
right.
Again,
and that's something else. I think that's funny, is that I'm nowhere near well endowed, so not being able to satisfy that girl that way was even worse in that situation.
Well, again, you don't have to be well endowed. It really is more about other tricks you can do and the motion in the ocean.
True.
But this guy, literally, I've seen babies with bigger penises.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I changed diapers with little tiny kids who I was like, what the hell is this? I mean, I was so disappointed, because he was so pretty. He was so pretty. And I just thought he was so great. And then that happened.
I think
and it never happened again.
I think there's a database online, I could be wrong, but of girls that have slept with rock stars and then rate their penis.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there.
I know I've heard about it, but I couldn't tell you the website. But that always fucking makes me laugh.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, again, well, it'd be like if dudes rape women's vaginas. I mean, it's like, really? Is that what you're doing?
No, it's fucked up, but there's a sense of comedy in it, I feel like.
There are plenty of ways to reach the end. It's all about how you get there, You don't all have to take the same way. Yeah, just make sure you get there. As long as you get there, you're good. I mean, that was part of the problem. He was not getting there, and he apparently had no desire to find other ways to compensate for not being able to paddle his way there.
Right. He crossed the finish line while you're still at the starting line.
Oh my God. I didn't even get to the starting line. I hadn't even tied my shoes.
You were still in the damn locker room.
I was still going, what is this? In a fucking hotel room in a Days Inn with a jacuzzi and a mirror over the bed. I'll never forget. It was the most surreal moment of my life. And thank God it's never been repeated. Thank God. Of course, I'm married now, and I've had the same thing for 18 years, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with what I have, very happy. But man, being on the dating scene, you never knew. It was like Russian roulette, Well,
like being 37 and single, like I couldn't imagine what I would have to go through right now in order to, like, I'd have to go to a dating site, I feel like, or something to that effect. But Josh did post a meme the other day that fucking had me crying laughing. It was so funny. It was.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, it was basically like a guy looking at a paper and it says dating after.
Oh, yeah.
And
how to be a stepdad.
Yeah.
That actually is more specific for this region because there's a lot of young pregnancies here.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very high number of pregnancy. And hey, I'm a stepdad. Misty,
I'm a
when we
stepmom.
first, yeah, when Misty and I first met, she had a son. He turned 13 right after we first met. So
I didn't know this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But
I have nothing against, like, if I go to date a woman and she has a kid, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. As a matter of fact, I dig kids because they're into like shit that I'm into.
After I was 25, I dated multiple women that had kids, and it's like, holy shit, it's completely different.
Oh, yeah,
really
you
is.
can't get away from it around here. After the age of 25, pretty much everybody's had a baby. If they haven't, it's, by rabid choice. They worked very hard to achieve that goal.
The last one I dated before I met Misty and settled down with Misty, not settled for, settled down with.
Yes.
She had 4 kids, and she was only 20. I was 28, and she was 5 years younger than me. She was 23 and already had 4.
God damn.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's a vagina, not a clown car.
Right.
Oh, speaking of that, one of the best things I ever saw was when I worked at Walmart, and there was it was a computer program that had small videos that would teach you how to be like, what is it called? Like a human resources kind of like, don't be a douchebag and say these things.
Yeah.
The funniest one to me was it was these 2 guys standing in a hallway. The first guy was like, yeah, man, we just had our 6th kid. Like, it's great. And the guy responds with like, what are you, Mormon or Catholic? Fucking lost it. I was like, you guys aren't supposed to give me comedy for these things because I'm supposed to take it seriously.
I see a lot of women online who get really upset about, people being intrusive about their choice to have children. And I don't know how hard men get this. I mean, if you haven't had a kid by the time you're 30, how many people start asking you when you're going to settle down and have babies?
Yeah. Oh, men
Guys
never do
don't. No, they say, oh, look at you living that bachelor life. You lucky the bitch. That's what most of them get.
See, now when you're a woman by the age of 25, if you've not spawned yet, everybody wants to know what's wrong with you.
Right.
Why haven't you done this yet?
I've got two friends that go through that to this day, and they're both in their late 30s now. Actually, the one, she's 42, and the other one's like 38, 39. One lives here locally in this town, one lives in Colorado, and both of them team no kids. They don't want kids. They've been in happy relationships, one for over 20 years, and the other one for, about 15 or so. They don't want kids, and they're constantly bombarded. When are you going to start a family? They're already a fucking family. That's their family. They don't need to add to it. And if they choose to have dogs instead of kids, that's their choice. Get your head out of their ass.
Yeah. And well, here's what I tend to remind people, the women who write articles about this stuff is, people are intrusive no matter how many kids you've had. Because what it starts off with is, when are you going to have kids? Then you have a kid and people ask, when are you going to have the next one? And if you stop at one, people are going to be constantly asking you when you're going to have the next one until that one's, a teenager pretty much. Then if you have more than 3, people are like, oh, are you going to stop now? And then if you have more than 6, people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So it's just people, don't think that they're attacking you simply because you're child free. They're attacking all of us. That's what people do. They're nosy fuckers who attack everybody and want to know when they're spawning, why they're spawning, and, how they're doing it. That's just people.
Yeah.
People can suck.
Yeah, people do suck. They don't know how to mind their own fucking business.
Yeah.
It's like when Lydia was born, and I told Josh this, my husband had a vasectomy when she was 4 months old because he was 42 and I was 25. I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant. So this was a very big shock to us, and we didn't want to find ourselves in that position again because my body wasn't going to take it. And he's like, 42, having a baby. I'm 40 now. I wouldn't want to have a fucking baby. Screw that shit,
Yeah.
Like, I've apologized to him. I'm like, I'm really sorry that this happened to you when you were 42 years old. But he took it well. He took it very well. He handled it like a pro, and God love him for it, But yeah, it's that thing, where people are just nosy. It's like parenting advice. When you have a kid, everybody and their fucking mother, even people who don't have kids, are going to tell you how to parent. I'm sure Josh knows this,
My own mother still tries to tell me how to parent. I'm like, I've gotten this far without you intervening. I think I'm good.
Yeah, my parents don't do that because they know better. I'll be like, y'all know I pretty much raised myself, right? Yeah, you do. Okay, then shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister and brother-in-law used to raise my nephews with ideals and things in their mind that I didn't agree with, and I always kept my mouth shut. And then when I was around the boys by myself, I'd give them lessons that I thought were important because I'm an uncle.
That's what uncles do.
Exactly.
That's what aunts do.
But I never once ever told my sister how to raise the boys, and I've never told any of my friends how to raise their kid either, unless they ask and we have a conversation about it. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't say that, but that, I'm like, all right, but you do. And you.
See, you're one of the special few, And again, I like to consider myself in that category too. I'm not up in anybody's reproductive business. If it's not my uterus, I don't care. That's just how I feel about it. It's not me. Okay. I'm not going to have to endure the sleepless nights. I'm not going to have to endure the breastfeeding for 2.5 years because my kid won't take a fucking bottle. Yeah. I don't care. It's, I'm like, woohoo, you're pregnant. Yay for you. Not me.
That's another thing is that, I'm not with the kid all the time. I don't have to raise the kid. I just get to have fun times with the kid, feed him candy, and then drop him off when they're all fucking hyped up.
Yep.
It's like, I don't have to be there. So it's again, it's not anybody's job to tell another. And on that note, even if you are a parent, I don't believe it's your job to tell another parent how to raise their kid.
It's not unless they ask you for advice. And then you have to coach it very, very delicately, because people get very offensive about their parenting styles. Even when they're asking for advice, they get very offensive,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and everybody does it different. Is your kid happy? Is your kid healthy? Is your kid fed? Then okay, you're doing it right. I don't give a shit if you do it the same way I do. You're doing it right. I breastfed for 2.5 years. I have friends who bottle fed from the very start. I don't shame them for it, though I know a lot of women who do. And I'm like, I don't see why. Is their kid happy and healthy and well fed and taken care of? Then shut the fuck up. It's not your business.
Misty couldn't produce enough milk for Madison. Madison would be on her for an hour and be starving. And she couldn't produce hardly any milk. So Madison, just a few weeks old, we had to put her on formula full time. We didn't have a choice. That was a medical reason for it. But
Yeah. I have a friend who had inverted nipples.
people were like, oh, why ain't she breastfeeding? I was like,
no, you're
why is it any of your fucking business?
It's not. I don't ask women when I find out they're pregnant, oh, are you planning to breastfeed? That's not my fucking business. Unless you bring it up, I'm not going to be like, oh, you should absolutely breastfeed, blah, 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 blah. Do what you need to do for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this mommy shame culture that we're in. It's like, fucking bitches. It's like essential oils are not going to cure the world. I don't give a shit what you say. No amount of vitamin C is going to cure your urinary tract infection. Go to a doctor, Sharon. It's the mommy groups are real, and there are some groups I'm surprised I'm still a member and they haven't kicked me out yet.
And just fucking people always like to get in other people's business too, which I think is the worst.
Yeah,
just in general. Sorry,
and we can bring that back around to feminism again. Let people have their own autonomy. I don't give a shit if they're a woman or they're a man or if they're gay or they're straight or they're non-binary or asexual or aromantic. Just let people be. It doesn't affect me in my life. It's like when we legally allowed gay people to get married. There was all these people, they're going to tarnish the institution of marriage. And I'm like, listen, Jack and Jill, you guys have been doing that for the whole of humanity, since Christianity at least. Y'all have been tarnishing marriage. You don't need gays to come in and tarnish marriage when you've already done it for yourself. Don't tell me that bullshit. I don't want to hear it. That'd be like saying that because I'm not Christian and I'm married, somehow I've affected the institution of your marriage. Bullshit. I have not.
Yeah, it's that tarnishing of marriage thing always cracked me up, because it's like, you mean that guy that or woman got that divorced 3 other times? That tarnishing are you talking about? Or
yeah, it's like I love my daddy. I love him. But my daddy been married 4 times, and I love this last one. I do. She's very good for him, and she loves him to bitty bits. But yeah, he's been married 4 times. I'm on my 2nd marriage, and I'm in it for the past 18 years. It's like, I've made it longer than my parents.
I think that's also a very big accomplishment in our society today is being able to say that you have held on to something that is like technically considered, I'm trying to say this correctly without sounding offensive. The divorce rate in this country is extremely high. And being able to sit there and say that you've never been divorced, that you've had one, spouse, the craziness to say that that's an accomplishment is nuts, which is why I don't personally, I have to be specific about that, believe in the institute of marriage. I think it's a very religious ideal that has just passed on in a non-religious way, because our country gives like tax breaks for for people, and like, oh well, my husband is like, I know people that have been together for years, not married, don't plan on having a marriage unless it's just a ceremony. And I'm legit worried about them, because if one of them gets injured in a car wreck or something to that effect and they have to go into the hospital, the other person can't go with them.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're married. Again,
Right.
he'd been married before. He'd been married for like 15 years. And, again, he's 18 years older than me. This is, a lot of people are like, oh, but again, we've been together for 18 years. Obviously, it works for us. I was married at 19 and I left him when I was 22. I realized after I was in a really bad car accident, he wouldn't do my dishes. He wouldn't do the dishes in our house. My best friend had to come and do the dishes. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I know I don't want to be that person who's married and divorced by 25, but that's going to be me. So, and I think I learned from my first marriage how a marriage should not be. I also learned from my parents' marriages how a marriage should not be. But we did it because it's safer that way. It protects us. It protects our daughter.
And then the great thing about a lot of how, like, I don't know about other states, but I know in California for sure, you don't have to have a ceremony in order to be married. You just can elope.
Well,
Virginia doesn't recognize what they call common law marriages.
Tennessee does.
Like Misty and I, we've been together for 15 years.
Which in most states would be common law.
Yeah, because after 7, it would be, or 8.
Yeah.
But we're not legally married, but we refer to each other as husband and wife because, fuck it, we are in it for the long haul. We're not leaving each other until one of us, something happens,
Well, yeah. Again, you are married. You live with a married couple. You are married. That piece of paper is just there to protect us. It's just
a piece of paper. That's it.
Just, again, my relationship does not depend on the United States government one way or the other. If they fell tomorrow, I would still be married. If that piece of paper burns up and the government building that housed it and, all the authentication of it went up in smoke, I would still be married. He's my husband, But at the same time, I'm also the person who says, I use my maiden name because it doesn't matter what happens to me and my husband, I will always be an Ogletree. Yeah.
So, she uses hers, but there's just, it's weird how these institutions, everybody thinks it's got to be this way or it's not valid. No. These are all social constructs. Social constructs can be changed and they can evolve.
Well, and that's the thing that they don't understand is in the history of marriage, that's very, very recent, the way they expect it to be, which is a very 1950s standard. It's not how marriage has been throughout most of human history. It's like there used to be a time where you didn't get divorced. And people talk about, the sacred institution of 2 parents and a nuclear family. That has never been normal. Especially in poor families, you know how often parents, both moms and dads, would just get up and walk away and there was nothing you could do about it. It's not like you had the technology to serve child support on people. And if you were wealthy, men kept the children. If something happened in your marriage and it was dissolved, men kept the children. The women didn't get the children. That's something very recent in our society. So, people who talk about this great institution of marriage don't seem to understand how much it has evolved just in recent history. Because it's evolved a lot. It's gone through a lot of changes from start to finish.
Yeah. Well, this podcast has gone on for a really long time, so why don't we go and wrap it up?
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a long
2 hours and 48 minutes and 33 seconds as right now.
The reason it went long, guys, is because we had some excellent fucking conversations today. Good Lord. So real quick, before we end it, Jesus. Betty, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I love it.
Oh my God, you bring so much to the goddamn table. It's not even funny.
Thank you.
Are you planning on doing your own podcast at some point?
I was thinking about it. I've
As you
got one
should.
of my sisters, and I would really like to do it. I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to work it out with her time wise because she's got a lot of irons in the fire right now. She's young. She doesn't have kids yet. Newly married, new house, and she's doing the craft thing right now. And it's like, are you going to be able to find time to do this with me? So I'm thinking about it because I do like doing this. I like talking. I like sharing information, and it's fun. But I don't know if I'll be able to find someone to do it with me on a full-time basis.
I got you. Yeah, it's definitely like with Josh and I. I started the podcast with a different friend, and then that friend would edit our shows, and then he couldn't one week, so Josh had to take it over. And Josh has been doing an unbelievably stellar job at not only editing the show but promoting it. I don't have the necessarily capabilities of doing a lot of the stuff. When I get a better PC setup and I can take audio from the show and edit clips, what I really want to do is edit segments down. So that because I think that one of the best things for a podcast is to have digestible clips that can be shared.
Oh yeah.
And I know that Josh already does like a metric fuck ton with the show and other shows that he's doing. So I definitely don't want to put more on his plate. But that would be a goal of mine eventually. And I'm glad that I have Josh to be my co-host on this show. Otherwise, I wouldn't. The show would probably ended years ago. No joke.
Exactly. I totally understand.
So it's always good to have a partner that is steady and can be there constantly for you, and vice versa.
Well, it's like I'm an introvert by nature. I really do I'm a homebody and I'm not a party type, but I have so much information in my head and so many thoughts and opinions on things that I do like to share that. And the rest of my family, it tends to be a little more extroverted, and getting them to settle down for anything, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. It's from my experience. I've been doing podcasting for like since 2009, I want to say. So about 11 years now. And when I first started doing it, I was just a guest on a few episodes of a show. There was a show on a internet channel called Revision 3. I don't think they're still around, called the Totally Rad Show. And it was these three guys that they would talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV shows, whatever. It was whatever was new that week, they would discuss it for an hour. And I always loved that format. I loved watching their show and getting their opinion, and I always wanted to do that. So these guys in Sacramento had a podcast that they were doing, and my friend Lito, who was going to be a guest on the show, had asked me if I wanted to do it. So I had done it, and then a few more times after that, I was a guest on the show. Lito would come pick me up. I'd hang out with him, and then we'd go do the podcast. Eventually, it got to the point where because they were the two brothers. They were the Abaya twins, and one of them had to leave because he was having a kid. So John left, and then Ben took it over. And Ben, me, and my buddy Mike would do the show constantly. I then got to host my own show that was premiered on their website and on iTunes, stuff like that, called The Overtime, which started as just we don't want the episode to go 3 hours, so
yeah.
I don't mind it with this case because like we talked about so many things that people could listen to this in segments and be totally caught up. But when I did The Overtime, I learned a lot about how to podcast and how to properly get opinions of people and all that kind of stuff, which allowed me to then do a different show with my buddy Anthony, and we did it was like a video game news podcast for years, literally. Still good friends with him. That was funny because when the thing with the bias had kind of ended, I didn't want to do podcasting anymore. I didn't want to do stuff with another group. I was just kind of done. And Anthony was just like, dude, like, be my co-host. Like, you are a great conversationalist. Come on, please. So I did it. And I really enjoyed that. But like, no matter what we did, we changed the format. God knows how many times. It never picked up steam. It never went anywhere. We tried a ton of stuff, like cross promotion, talking to people. It just didn't matter. So eventually, I wanted to do more in terms of podcasting. And I remember talking to I remember thinking about doing a podcast where I review shows on Netflix. This was like, I want to say around 2015. And it wasn't until 2017, Josh, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I would stream Jackbox all the time, and Josh was one of the people that would come into the Discord call and be part of the active voice audience, if you will. And I noticed that whenever him and I had watched shows at roughly the same time, and we would discuss them while we're streaming a game, the conversation was always great. Like, even people in chat were just like, and so I was like, man, I really want to do this podcast. Do you want to do it with me? And I'm not going to go into specifics because I just don't want to, but having Josh as my co-host has been my best experience podcasting in 11 years.
I was hoping you were going to get back to praising me some more. I really appreciate that.
I'm being serious. Like, I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your ass, Josh. Like, the experiences that I've had, I love Anthony to death. I love the Abaya twins, but none of it was to the level of professionality that I've had with you. I'm
not that professional. Come on now.
I said professionality. I can kind of give you examples off air. I don't really want to, throw anyone under the bus at this moment, or burn any bridges. But there were a lot of bad experiences, and but I think that's also the point of doing entertaining things is you learn what works and what doesn't work. You learn about what you can do and what you can't do, and I think I watched like 3 or 4 TED Talks back in 2014 about how to do podcasting correctly. And it's a process.
Know there were TED Talks on that.
Oh my God, there's a TED Talk on everything at this point.
Oh, I know. That one's one I haven't run across yet, surprisingly.
It's crazy. One of the big things that I learned back when I was doing the show with the Baya twins and my buddy Mike was I have a really bad habit of saying and a lot, and I would listen back to episodes and try to correct that as best I could. I learned very quickly that when describing something and you go into detail that is just unnecessary, people kind of trail off and lose interest. So I learned how to tell stories a bit quicker, not be so I'm trying to think of a good phrase for it. Rambly.
See,
I'm not the best at it. Yeah, I'm not the best at it. I'm still not. Like, I still fuck up from time to time, but I try my best.
The hell you say?
Well, see, that's the thing. For the past 18 years of my life, my husband and I are very intellectual people, and we love to stimulate each other by talking. And
I heard that shuffle.
Right? I know, that's what she said. But we do have some very in-depth conversations on social issues and political issues, and I mean, we can get heated. We never yell, but we can, he loves to play devil's advocate. So it gets frustrating sometimes because I know he agrees with me, but he's playing devil's advocate anyways. And I'm just like, I want to choke you right now. But we do that. I mean, this is how we converse with each other. We will start on one topic and we'll end up somewhere else completely different. And it's like, how did we get here? But it was fun. The whole process of getting there was really fun. I mean, I love that stimulation, and that's one of the things that works between he and I, even though there is an age gap, is because we are very much intellectual people. We like to discuss topics of the day. We are involved in politics, and we can do that and not be angry at each other at the end of the night. It's like the Conways. I don't know how they do this. George Conway and Kellyanne Conway. It's like, how does your marriage work? What does your prenup look like? Because something is going on here that is just not normal, you know?
I don't know, but it was probably forged sometime during the massacre at Bowling Green.
Christ. That's another thing about podcasting that I've learned that is I always feel as an asset is like listening to the other person and actually having a proper conversation, not just going, well, I want to talk about this, embracing the ADD, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've learned really well when it comes to uninhibited. Like there was a few times we got completely off topic. Like I started off with like, what's a franchise or a game or something that you really enjoyed that was something you wish you could experience again, and we got onto social issues about slavery and whatnot.
I know.
It got really off topic, but I never stopped it. I never said, "Hey, let's drive back this way."
Because organic conversations and discussions, to me, are the best kind.
They really are.
Let it evolve. Let it evolve and go where it may. Because if we're finding it interesting enough to continue it without saying, "Hey, let's get back on topic here," chances are the listener is going to enjoy it that much more as well.
Right.
Is my philosophy anyway.
Well, and your philosophy, funnily enough, is exactly how, the Greco-Roman schools worked. The schools of philosophy. It was very much a gathering of people of like minds, and they would start off on one topic and they'd end somewhere else, completely different. But it was a sharing and exchanging of ideas. And I don't think we do that enough today. I mean, I'd like to see more of that with people, because I find those to be the most interesting conversations. Is where are you going to go? What path are you going to take? How are you going to tie this in? Because they can get very deep and involved, and I get very involved in them as well, just listening.
Right, and I hope that our audience enjoys that as much as I do, as much as I know that you guys do. I know this episode's really long, but God, it's almost as long as one of the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings.
See, this would be a short conversation in my house. We could go on all night.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The very first time we met face to face in person, well, the only time we've been in each other's presence,
the COVID,
the weekend before it really hit, is we just hung out and talked for like 3 hours, and the only reason we left is because we had to go to my sister-in-law's house, or we would have hung out longer.
Yeah, I mean, we're always up for good conversation, and that's one of the reasons I do love my husband, is because if I'm not intellectually stimulated by a man, I want nothing to do with him. I know that sounds horrible, and I am prejudiced against stupid people. I can't help it. When I'm the smartest person in the group, there's a problem. I mean, I don't want to be known as the walking dictionary. I don't want you to come to me like I'm fucking Wikipedia.
Man, I have people that my friend EE calls me Snapple Cap. I'm like, damn it. Just because I throw out fucking facts and tidbits about, various things doesn't make me the Encyclopedia Britannica or anything. Come on.
Well, when Jeff drinks, we call him Jeffopedia, because I swear to God, my husband is super smart, but he hates game shows and he hates trivia, but he knows more trivia than any person I know. I'm like, you do realize just going on Jeopardy one time would solve all our money problems forever, right? You could totally pull this off, but no, you hate game shows. Me.
Why does he hate game shows? That's so interesting to me, because I fucking love game shows.
I know, right? Well, his parents, he is 58 years old. His parents had a farm growing up. They raised tobacco and a few animals, and his dad was a master huntsman and raised dogs for that. And he never had any siblings, and he never really had close friends. He does have Asperger's, so he's very logical. I call him my Spock because logic comes first in his mind. For me, it's emotion. Emotion is more important than logic. So he is my Spock, and I love him for it. But yeah, he doesn't like game shows. He doesn't play games except for Minecraft. When he got introduced to Minecraft, he fell in love with it. And he plays it solo, and he plays it survival style. And boy, does he ever play it survival style. I mean, he's very good at it. And I'm happy for him, but I'm the gamer in the family. We wouldn't have an Xbox if it wasn't for me. So, he's just, he doesn't like game shows. I love Jeopardy. I've been watching it since it came back on TV when I was 5. I used to call it Jeffrey, oddly enough. But he's just, he hates trivia. He knows trivia, but he hates trivia. It's like, well, why do you know so much of it then?
Yeah, that's very, very complicated for him.
Yeah, again, everybody in this house is autistic. I'm autistic. Our daughter is autistic. He's very autistic, But his Asperger's makes him very interesting to talk to because, again, he is Spock, he is logic, and I'm emotion. So our conversations can get very interesting because we often don't always see eye to eye. But I love him.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Oh,
I think he's pretty awesome.
I think so. I mean, in the zombie apocalypse, he's definitely the dude you want there. He may not be able to, shoot a gun or do the hunting, which actually he himself is also a master marksman, but he's a vegetarian. So yeah, he hasn't eaten meat since he was like 30 years old. So
damn.
Yeah, and I love meat. I eat all the meat, but yeah, he knows all kinds of stuff.
I know I haven't eaten today either.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Let's do our links and follow us on, and then we can close it out, and I can tell Betty about the couch story.
All right. Well, as always, the links to follow are down below in the description of the episode. Be on the lookout because those will be changing soon because we've got a little bit of an overhaul. The show's getting a facelift. New artwork is being worked on. There will be new music at the beginning, new intro, changing up the format a little bit, and we're going to bring more content to you in that regard. But, for now, follow all the links at the bottom. And if you want to follow me personally online, I'm on Facebook under my regular name. I love having conversations with people. Send me a message, and if you're not a scammer, we can have a fun conversation. And if you are a scammer, I guarantee you I'm going to have a fun conversation.
Yep.
I'm going to work on writing the script for that one so we can try to.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told Betty about it yesterday morning. She was cracking up.
I had my own story to tell too.
Yeah. But if you want to follow me on other shows outside of this show, you can catch me on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. Every other Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, I'm on a show called Figure Banging. It's a live action figure review show. We usually look at Transformers. Yes, we're big kids, but we have fun.
I thought you said finger banging.
No, it's a play. It's a play on English when they say figure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it just. Yeah. I have a dirty mind. I have the mind of a 12-year-old boy.
No, that's okay. We do too. But the other show you can catch me on every Friday night around 9 p.m. Eastern is MPSP Theater. And they're always, both those shows are live. You're welcome to jump in and participate, watch along, and participate in the live chat. And we usually do hangouts, unbroadcasted afterwards. Similar to like this. It's just people having conversation afterwards. But yeah, those are the places you can find me. Betty, is there anywhere that you would like people to know if they chose to follow you on any social medias? Or
again, most of my Facebook is pretty much public, and it's Betty Badger Ogletree at Facebook. I don't know how that works. It's Ogletree. You can't miss me.
It's at facebook.org.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like 8,000 of us in the world, so go on.
Yeah,
Cool.
Go give her a follow.
Well, Greg, what about you, man?
Chub Rock Geek on all socials. I've been jumping back and forth if I want to stream some Fall Guys at all. The problem I'm having right now with streaming Fall Guys is how do I put this? I can't get my friend's audio through the game. I could hook up my
you mean the way we have to, the four of us get into a call on Messenger because they don't use Discord.
Yeah, we they don't use Discord, and we don't. Even if we had Discord, like, it would still be tough because for some reason the headset that I have that I use on my Xbox, like, it works on the PlayStation, but it doesn't pick up audio very well. So I don't know. I'll figure something out eventually, or I'll just stream the game and just have my audio. I don't know. It'd be weird, but I don't know. Notice me come back.
Sitting over here in my basement drinking tiny wines.
Or
But if you decide to follow me on Twitch, Chub Rock Geek on Twitch as well. I might stream some Fall Guys. I might stream some Jackbox. You don't know. Just follow me there. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it. That's all. We're gonna watch that video game documentary, High Score, and the Ju-on show.
Origins. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think that's it, and that's all. Thank you again, Betty, for joining us. It's been fucking fantastic having you here as always.
Thank you for having me.
She's gotta walk the dogs, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, the little one is an asshole. He has so I have to watch.
All right, well, everyone, thank you for listening to this really long episode, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I know I enjoyed being a part of it. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.